Oh, I'm sorry. I was just about to say to chat, guys. Welcome to episode 4, officially of Sidequest Cafe, where we're starting our first new game.
Yeah, what's up, everybody? Doing Final Fantasy VII. I mean, it's not exactly a new game. I mean, it's kind of a new game for me.
It's a new game for you, which I'm really excited about. Hold on, let me
Me too.
lower my music here. I feel like it's drowning out a little bit.
Okay.
I'm pretty excited about the fact that I get to kind of talk a friend through my favorite game of all time.
Yeah.
Because let me just say, first off, guys, let me introduce myself. My name is Black Light Attack. Hello, and this is my co-host Kung Fu Fruit Cup.
Hi, I'm Kung Fu Fruit Cup. What's
Say
up?
hi.
Yo, thanks for the sub, Lambert. By the way, you're awesome.
Sub hype. And we meet up every couple of weeks on Mondays to drink coffee or tea or what have you, and just RPGs.
That's what we do. There we go.
In this case, cheers.
Cheers.
And in this case, we're discussing Final Fantasy VII, my personal favorite game of all time. If I could get my leg up above the desk, I'd show you my tattoo. And Kung Fu's never played it. I'm really excited because it's so hard as a fan of Final Fantasy VII to get people to play this game.
Really?
There is no harder thing than to convince somebody to play Final Fantasy VII as your favorite game.
Okay.
No matter how much you talk it up to them, there's a lot of things holding people back from playing it and enjoying it.
Well, do you think it's because people think it's like overhyped, so they're like, oh, I probably won't like it or something, you know?
I think that's part of it, but I also think that it's just hard for a modern day gamer to kind of get past certain things about it, like its age. It's really ugly. It's not a pretty game. Like,
hey, that adds to the humor of it. Okay.
It kind of does. So like the world models have always looked, even at the time they were recent, as kids, we were kind of like, what is this shit? Why do they look like bodybuilding Lego characters? Like they kind of look like a balloon animal, but made out of cardboard boxes or something. And that was always confusing. The backgrounds are beautiful though. If you ever take a look at the pre-rendered CGI backgrounds, they are I mean they're blurry now because they were so low res.
Right. But like the intention's there. You can see how nice it's supposed to look. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But a lot of people can't get past that initial reaction of like, these are really weird blocky characters. And you just and I kind of understand it because it's a story-based game. For a lot of people, it's a lot of reading for people that grew up in ages of voice acting. And for other people, it's just kind of dated in terms of the combat system because it's pretty grindy.
Is it though? I haven't had that issue yet. So I'm not going to know. I haven't had the issue yet though. The background's ugly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so gotta start stretching. Why do you gotta start stretching? Roxas. Sorry, total non sequiturs.
Oh, that's okay.
That was just so weird. Okay, anyway. But yeah, no. So even right away, somebody in chat goes, "You're reading," because it turns some people off. Some people can't justify reading that much.
I guess I'm so used to it. I don't know. Like, so here's the thing about retro gaming. If I ever have kids, I'm gonna make them play retro games first, so that they appreciate.
Hell yes.
The difference in graphics, and so they don't grow up being what I like to call a graphic snob, because I would be upset to have offspring of mine that didn't play a game because the graphics were old. Like that would legitimately upset me. So anybody that I can introduce to gaming, I'm going to be like, get used to the older graphics. It does not by any means mean that the game is bad.
God, yeah, no, definitely. And there's so many people that I would grow up with, and even during the time, even when Final Fantasy VII was recent, and there were other games out, when we were all playing the PlayStation 1, there were graphic snobs who were dissing the game because it didn't look that pretty. And me, the argumentative, combative kid that I was, loved to get into arguments like on the school bus and stuff about which games were better. And I was always hyping my game.
Yeah.
And then, I still remember in high school, defending it against people who were like, Final Fantasy X's way better. Like these nerd arguments in high school. Yeah. Final Fantasy X's way better because the graphics are prettier. And I'd be like, oh, it's going down.
Oh, tonight. Here we go. Okay.
Arguing with kids like two grades older than me.
That's great.
So that's always a concern, that somebody's not going to appreciate a wonderful game because it's not pretty enough.
And that's such a bummer when you meet people like that. I actually have a really close friend who's a graphic snob, And it's so upsetting to me because I'm like, you would probably love the story of this game, but they would never play it because of how it looks. And I'm like, what? That's so sad. You're just missing out. They're missing out, man. Missing out.
Exactly. It's a damn shame.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you're not a graphics snob. I'm glad that you decided to jump on this game.
Yeah.
And I was watching you a little bit last night. You started a little bit before me. I'm going to be starting tonight.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. But it's not like we're not going to be at the same point because like you know the game.
I'll play through. Yeah, I'll play through it pretty quick. I do take my time through the thing. I always stop to smell the flowers on the way through that game.
Yeah.
But no pun intended with Ares. But
look at you.
Was that your first play session last night, or was that your second?
My third.
That was your third. Okay,
yeah,
good.
I did
Good.
Thursday, Friday, Sunday.
Okay. Because as I saw, you had just gotten out of Midgar.
Yes.
Yes, and I was saying earlier, guys, this is Kung Fu's first playthrough. So if you're in your chat, you're participating. Yeah, first ever. She doesn't know like anything about the game except for the obvious spoilers that everyone knows.
No, I only know the one thing about Aerith, however, whatever you want to say. I only know like that, and I knew that like Cloud and Sephiroth were in the game.
Yeah,
because of Kingdom Hearts. Like that's what I know.
Right, and even in Kingdom Hearts, they're Kingdom Heartsified. They're in a totally different universe, and they're like,
just like characters hanging out in your game. Like the only thing I knew is that like Sephiroth is dark, whereas Cloud is trying to be a good guy, but like he also is all like I don't know.
Yeah, they tried to make him a little too anti-hero.
Yeah,
for like what he is.
Yeah, in a way, in Kingdom Hearts. Yeah, I got you.
Definitely, because you could probably, at the point you're at, being just outside Midgar, you can already kind of see what kind of character he's being established as. Right. So like in your words, before I tried to start putting ideas in your head, in your words, what do you think of Cloud so far? What would you describe him as a protagonist?
Okay, two things I want to do. One, just in case anybody's watching the stream later, for me and for anybody in my chat or in Blacklights, I'm mostly going to pay attention to mine in case you guys in Blacklights want to discuss things that are more spoilery for me. This is new for me. I'm really excited to play it blind. Any character that I haven't met yet, we can't talk about. Any character.
Keep spoilers out.
Yeah, so any character I haven't met yet. So that's what's going to be interesting about these conversations. Because any character I haven't met, we can't talk about. Anywhere I haven't been, we can't talk about. Like, just anything like that. Like, even mentioning, like, oh my god, the end made me cry. Like, that's a spoiler in a way. That's going to, like, spoil some of my experience. So it's just important to me, and will be moderated in chat, that, to not say that. It's just a heads up for you guys.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so with Cloud, so far Cloud, he starts out like, so I'm getting to experience him for the first time, so I don't have this whole picture of him yet. So he starts out being really like, I don't give an F about the world. You guys suck. I only have like one thing I want to do, but they're not really clear on that.
Right. He's very standoffish, right?
Oh, very.
Like he's not. But at the same time, he's not quite this like sort of dark, brooding figure that you see in Kingdom Hearts.
No,
either.
Because examples of him like not being that dark is when Aerith's like, "You be my bodyguard. We'll go on a date," and he's like, "All right." He doesn't say anything, but then he agrees to it later. You're like,
exactly.
But like, I'm trying to make him choose all the options to make him get with Tifa because I like Tifa more.
You like Tifa? Okay. You're playing like I did. I won't say any more on that or how that quite affects the game, but you're doing what I did a lot as a kid. And about Final Fantasy VII is you can kind of choose. And you can see that, like, you can kind of choose which girl you prefer because there's this weird love triangle going on.
Yeah, and like, well, your mom would technically in the game would technically like Aerith's better because I'm saying a mix between the S and the TH. If you guys aren't listening, because I don't know which one.
I always say Aerith because that's what I grew up with.
And I know Aerith because Kingdom Hearts and the more recent translations.
Right.
So I'll do whatever. I'll do whatever you're comfortable with, or we can both use both. Doesn't matter.
Okay, I can use them interchangeably.
Yeah, but Aerith is supposed to be older than Tifa. It's like Tifa, the chat told me she's 20, and then Cloud's 21, and Aerith is 22. So technically, your mom in the game would be like, she says like, why don't you find a nice older woman? And I'm like, well, that would be Aerith, but I like Tifa.
So. An older girl, someone who would take care of you, And I really, really love that scene, that flashback scene with Cloud's mom. Yeah. Because it reminds me of my mom, and like. Especially because she's just very obviously a worrier, and
yeah, for sure.
I certainly hope that my mom doesn't suffer the same fate as Cloud's mom, but
Oh yeah, yeah.
what did you think of that? You just finished the flashback.
Yes. So yeah, the last thing I did in the game was finish the flashback in Calm, in the town of Calm. Yeah, you can talk about Midgar and you can talk about Calm because that's where I've gotten to.
Yeah, and those.
And
you've like not even been out on the world map,
right?
Really.
And the partners that I've had in my party include Cloud, Aerith, Tifa, Barrett, and Red, and I think that's it.
Right.
Yeah,
right,
yeah. And people, I've even though they shouldn't, they've been like, best combination is like these three, and I'm like, oh, I'll do what I want. And I'm like,
no, play what you want. There are like better characters than others, but it's not that hard a game. You can like. To get enough if you just do everything, if you like do side quests and stuff, you're gonna be like a jillion levels too high for the end of the game anyway. So play whoever you want, you know, unless you're like speed running.
Yeah, no. I've also realized that like everyone has enough stats of everything, I guess, to be able to do whatever I want. So I'm like, well, they can all heal or they can all do this. Or
exactly.
Like, they're not. The stats aren't that different so far, so it's not a big deal. Like at the moment.
They're really not. A lot of characters, all the characters have like certain stats that they're predisposed to.
Yeah.
Like you'll notice like Aerith
is the healer or the mage, whatever. Yeah.
She's the most specialized character in the game that you'll see.
Okay.
She's just like, she's much more suited towards a caster. Everybody else is purposely designed as sort of a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
Where you can equip them with whatever. The only thing that really makes a difference in characters after they've gained a bunch of levels and stats are high anyway. The only thing that really makes a difference between characters is their limit breaks.
Okay.
So you can choose your party based on that, or you can just use your party based on who you like.
I haven't really figured that out yet, by the way, limit break stuff.
And that's fine. That's completely fine, because you're still really early into the limit break system. You've only seen like a couple. You probably just have a couple of ones that are one hit for a big chunk of damage.
Yes.
Right.
I don't get Tifa's at all. It's like I just hit, and it's all like, yeah, or yeah, hit.
I can explain it if you'd like.
I'm good right now, but I'll, maybe I'll circle back around.
Yeah, I don't know that it actually properly explains it anywhere in the game.
Okay. Yeah, there are a couple things like they didn't explain the all materia. I think there was like a missable tutorial that you could do with it, and then I missed it. Yes. But then somebody told me it's like, oh, it makes it cast on everything if you have it connected to another materia. And I was like, oh, great, okay, that's actually really useful for me. So I'm glad.
At the very beginning of the game, and you unfortunately can't go back to it because you're not allowed to go back to Midgar for a while.
Yeah.
Because you're on the lam now, but in Midgar, in the Sector 7 slums where Tifa's bar is, right across from that is like this little hut that's just full of guys that. In my opinion, this is one of the best little tutorials that they've ever put.
Oh, the dudes on the top floor. I didn't even think about going back. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the flexing guys, they're my favorite tutorial. Let me tell you why. And you'll actually see them in a later town if you explore a lot.
Okay.
You can actually go through that again. They'll give you a second shot at it in case you missed it.
Okay.
I'm not going to tell you where it is, but keep your eyes peeled. And it's one of my favorites because the tutorial is set up so that Cloud is the one teaching you how to do it rather than other characters in the world teaching Cloud how to do something.
Okay.
Because Final Fantasy VII tells you a story.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't try to make you Cloud, and a lot of people are gonna substitute for whatever character they want to.
Yeah.
But they don't try to make you Cloud. They just tell you the story of Cloud. And Cloud, keep in mind, is a former soldier first class, somebody who's got a lot of military experience. Why would he need the explanation from some slum bums?
Right.
How to use
as opposed to like Ni no Kuni, which this isn't a spoiler because you've seen a picture of the main character, I'm sure, and he's a kid, so of course things need to be explained to him.
Exactly. He's a kid experiencing a new world.
Mm-hmm.
And so the game developers knew that it would make sense for a tutorial. He needed his guide, Mr. Drippy, to teach him how to do everything, or whoever else in every town. In Final Fantasy VII, Cloud is already the expert. He's got a past, he's got a history. It would make no sense for other characters to be explained.
Right. It's actually really funny. It was funny to hear him explain materia to Barrett because he's like, "You're stupid, right? You don't know this." But then you hear him. So then in the flashback, you hear him talking to Sephi. I like calling him Sephi because it makes him
Sephi. Yeah, he's got a long name.
Makes him more adorable. So he calls him Sephi. So when he's talking to Sephi about materia, when they find like the spring, they're like inside the mountain.
Yeah.
On the way to the plant, and they like find the spring, and Sephiroth's like, "You didn't know all this? Like it's this is where materia stuff comes from. And he's like, don't use the word magic.
Yeah, that's right. Hojo he references, and that's a character you'll see later. You've seen him a little bit in the Shinra building as well.
I have. I thought he was attacked. Oh, you're right. He didn't die.
No, yeah, he's not.
You're right.
No.
My Sephiroth voice. so I voice act all the characters, right? And the only one I can't figure out how to do is Red. I'm like, what do I do? Somebody was like, do it Southern, and then other people were like, oh, I hate that. Don't do that. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what to do for his voice.
Southern.
What do you do for he's an animal with the talking like a human. How does he talk like a human? People are like, Scooby-Doo, and I'm like, no, he's like wiser than that.
I don't know how appropriate this is, but I've kind of always done like what I see as like a sort of stereotypical Native American voice for him, a little bit.
Okay.
Not to make it super stereotypical, but
it's okay. People mention that. People mention like Native American-y. So
yeah, like basically, I try to go for something that's wise for him. It's something that's slow and so.
That's kind of what I'm
Red.
doing. Okay.
Good.
Okay.
Because
we haven't gotten to his hometown yet, so I don't know his like background.
Yeah, and it'll be a little bit before you get to his hometown.
Okay.
And when you do, you'll learn a lot more about him.
I figured.
And so far in the story, he's remained really quiet.
Right. Yeah. And they were like locked up in jail, and Barrett's like, "You're so boring."
I love that. By the way, now that you're this far in the game, you should really, in my opinion, check out a series called Final Fantasy VII Mission Abridged, which is made by the guys who did.
Somebody told me to watch it after I finished the game.
Okay, yeah,
but
definitely.
Either way.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if they do any like spoilers for later in the game, but I think they keep it anyway. But the first season ended, and that's all they've had so far, and it ends right when they get out of Midgar.
Mm-hmm.
But they totally flipped the relationship between Barrett and Red. It's one of my favorite things when they're like sitting there in the cell.
Oh, that's great.
They totally flipped the relationship that they have because it's the way that you saw it. He's like, oh man, he's like, you're boring, and he's like, yeah, you're real cold, just like someone else I know around here.
Yeah,
talking about Clown.
Kind of, yeah, exactly. I remember that.
And so like he's just quiet in the corner. Barrett's like, why won't you talk to me? In the dub, they make it so that basically Red 13 is like a basic standard dog. He's basically like Doug from Up.
Okay, that's
like
great.
he's just like
Doug. He's like Doug from Up.
Yeah, exactly. That's the name of the dog, right? I haven't seen Up.
Yeah. Oh, you haven't seen Up?
No.
It's my favorite Pixar film. It just emotionally connected with me, and I thought the heavy moments were done really well, and the comedic moments were perfectly timed. So like, it's really nice. It's a really nice film. So just watch it when you get the chance.
Okay. Well, Doug from Up, Kung Fu's favorite Pixar movie. Turn him into that instead of like the wise, like soft-spoken guy that he is.
Yeah.
And then Barrett in turn, it gets just completely loses all, like he's kind of a serious, like wise-ass character, and he just loses it because he gets so happy that he has a talking dog best friend, so he just like he loses his mind over this. And then so from now on, I assume him and Barrett for the rest of the series are going to be best friends, and I'm so happy about it.
Okay, that's hilarious. Okay, cool.
Actually. Hey, Gear Swords, how's it going? Gear Swords is loving Sidequest Cafe. Guys, give a little bit of love in the channel, in either channel, if you're loving the talk show vibe. If you're loving the JRPG talk show right now.
Yeah! Let me know.
Sorry, what were you going to say, though?
We were talking about the characters. Oh, I was doing voices, so I was trying to figure out Red. Oh, right! Somebody said my Sephi voice, so when I was about to do Sephiroth, basically, I've ended up trying to mimic his voice, like a similar voice to how they do in Kingdom Hearts, because that's the only voice I know for him. So it's kind of like kind of knowledgeable, and it's like some odd inflection, and it's all good. And everybody's like kind of agreed. They're like, "That's fine. This is good." But when I first did it, when he first appeared, I was like, "What was the first thing he said?" Like "hi" or something, and I was like, "Hi," and I was like,
"Hi."
and I just totally went off on like this like low pitched like kind of flowery inflection with him for a minute, and then I was laughing too hard and I couldn't. Honestly,
I could say I think that could fit Sephiroth personally. He's always seen as like real cool and calculated, and that's kind of how he comes off. I could totally also see he's very elegant at the same time.
Yeah, he is in a way for sure. You
have to imagine how much care he must put into that hair for it to be looking so silver.
I know, right?
He's not above being a little bit pampered sounding.
That's what I was saying. That his hair was silver before it was cool. He also has like the deepest of deep V-necks. You know, I mean.
Oh my God, yeah, he's got a V torso.
Yo, what's up with guys? What is up with Final Fantasy villains and deep V's? What's up with that?
Oh,
because Seymour has got it. Seymour has it. Arden kind of has a little something going on. I gotta go back and look at his outfit. Hang on, I don't know.
Oh, Draco, you're absolutely right. Let me fix that up for you real quick.
Arden.
Thanks so much, man.
Oh no, he's just. Oh no, he's wearing like a legit shirt underneath. Never mind. I'm talking about Arden.
Yeah. Oh, gotcha. Okay.
He's still wearing a V-neck. It's just not showing his stomach. Oh, I guess that would be no.
Okay.
Never mind. Okay, no. V for villain. Okay, you're right.
Yeah, there you go. That's what it is. They got to mark themselves so they recognize each other at the convention.
Yeah, the deep V. Oh, there you are. I got you.
Yeah, there it is.
I see that V. Oh man.
Hey,
yeah.
That's when they meet up. You know, they're all sitting around the cooler, just like, "Hey, it's a sick V, bro." Like, it's like a business card for them.
Yeah, it's like the more evil you are, the deeper your V gets.
Exactly. That's why Sephiroth's is so deep, and that's why.
Exactly.
So you've seen so far, you kind of just got introduced to Sephiroth.
Yeah, I saw where he turned super duper evil.
Yes.
So I thought it was really interesting. So you see that he's just like some sort of soldier who's really badass, and he does like 3,000 damage per turn, and I'm like, fuck.
Yeah. Right? This is how you develop a villain. This is one of the reasons this is my favorite games of all time, because think about what you've been seeing about Sephiroth so far. I won't go any further than what you've seen.
Right. But if he does that much damage, if I actually fight him, I gotta really prepare myself because shit. Like that seems terrible.
Yeah. He's scary. He's scary to watch.
Yeah.
And think about how he kind of showed up. He shows up almost out of nowhere. You get jailed. Yeah. He shows up as sort of like a Deus Ex Machina. He lets you out of jail. He slaughters everybody that's imprisoned you.
Oh, that's him doing it. Right.
Remember that Sephiroth sword. Only Sephiroth can wield that sword. You find President Shinra impaled on
Right. Yeah, I was just thinking about Genova as well, which I have so much to learn about as well. So
definitely, you do have a lot to learn about Genova. And don't worry, you're going to be confused. That's natural. It'll all come together.
Yeah, I assumed. Yeah, because the story's written well enough where like anything that hasn't been unfolded yet, I'm like, I know they will later.
Yes, yeah. There's everything will be unfolded, and I'm sure that there will be members of your chat or me, of course, that can clear anything up that's confusing after it happens. So putting it all together can be a little tough.
Yeah.
But
it's okay. I'm following so far, so everything's fine so far. Like they do a good job. It's kind of like when I was talking about, I think we talked about Spirited Away on here. We talked about the world building. Did we ever do that?
Yes.
How they do like a really good job of you're thrown in the middle of it, but they built the world so well that you kind of you're like, oh, this is totally new for me, but I can follow along somehow.
Right.
They're just like, oh, it's a floating city. You're like in a plate, living in these slums, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'm like already there.
Because all of your basic questions are answered, right? How do they get around? Why don't they leave? You know, they address that, and then there's some great philosophical sort of discussion about why people won't leave their land despite how polluted and corrupted it gets.
Yeah. It's actually really funny because I listened to a podcast on like, what was the episode? I think it was a Radiolab podcast, and they were featuring another one, and it was all about like kind of poverty and how people can break the cycle and stuff. And then I started playing this game, and I'm like, this is just like the podcast I was listening to.
And those themes are so prevalent. This game is so I credit this game for me being like really anti-establishment because this was like such a formative experience for me, and it's all about like the evil corporation, like, you know, oppressing all the poor people and destroying the planet and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I really love the themes in this game. I really do.
Yeah, it's interesting so far.
Yeah, and it's interesting how they continue to be present today. And I was just or relevant today rather. One thing I wanted to harp on a little bit was the introduction of Sephiroth as a villain and how infrequently we get such a masterful introduction to a guy.
That's like what I think you wished would happen with like Arden.
Exactly. That was exactly what I wanted, because Arden kind of shows up as this sort of swaggery, smarmy dude who's like clearly up to something, but you just can't prove what, and then you never really have an opportunity to, you know, and
they just tell you all at once instead of letting it unfold a little bit more.
Right. Exactly. And it's just kind of weird that they put him front and center. Just, hey, what's up? It's me. And then the big twist is that he's the bad guy.
Yeah.
Whereas with Sephiroth, it's clear from the beginning that he is the bad guy. but he shows up under mysterious circumstances. You never even get a glimpse at him. You only see the carnage that he leaves in his wake and his sword, which he left for some reason. And that's when Cloud all of a sudden goes, "Oh shit, guys, this dude's back. We gotta get the hell out of here."
Yeah, everything's wrong. He's like, Shinra's not the enemy anymore.
Exactly. And like, you've just seen Shinra and what they're capable of, the evil that they're capable of.
You know what, that totally reminded me of 15, by the way. Like, I think 15 was... I can start to see all of the parallels that 15 is taking from 7 at the moment that they were trying out again. Such as, well, first of all, like, Nibelheim and Niflheim. I'm like, oh, yeah. Really? I'm like,
yeah,
that's
big time.
Very similar. That's surprisingly similar. But then also it's like this idea of you see this evil organization of whatever form, and it seems to be like the that's Empires. What you're fighting against. Yeah, what you're fighting against, and then suddenly it's not. And it's like this one dude who is like really old and really powerful. Like those are the exact same in 7 and 15, which is why I'm guessing like you were a bit let down by the plot, because I feel like you are so experienced with that story from this game that you were probably just hoping for something a little different.
It was also done so incompletely, and so in my experience, cheesily.
I don't think it was that bad. I just think that I am curious about the chapters they're going to release. Like I've heard that, you know, the director he wants this game. He wants 15 to be a complete game. So they're going to continue to release more chapters and more gameplay for it. So I wonder, you know, maybe at some point we can both return to it and see if it
That's what I
expands.
hope. Because as much as I was disappointed by Final Fantasy 15, I didn't hate the world or the characters, and I thought there was a lot of potential there that just was kind of dropped because they didn't really manage to string together the main pieces.
Right, because they pulled the game out from development hell and then made them finish a giant open world game in 2 years, and then, you know, that's what you get for it.
Right, exactly.
Nibelheim.
Of course that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Hey, how's it going, Lit Jerk? Yeah, exactly. No, I'm the Italian hipster. Yeah. Sid's not Italian. You haven't met Sid, but when you do meet Sid, I think we can agree he's probably not Italian.
Okay.
If I had to guess, Sid's probably Irish.
Okay.
He's like maybe Scottish.
I was gonna say, spoiler, but I already knew that Sid's in every Final Fantasy game, so it's fine. It's not a spoiler. It's okay.
There's always a Sid. I won't tell you anything about this Sid.
Exactly.
Except for the fact that he is my favorite Sid, and he is... I think I'm gonna go out on a limb and say my favorite playable character.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Okay.
I'm sorry, I did spoil a little bit. I said he was playable.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You did. Sorry. I knew this was gonna be hard for you. It's okay. It's all right. Don't worry.
Sorry.
Also, Cheeky brought up a good point. Ansem in Kingdom Hearts 1 does have a super deep V. So that goes along with
I think I remember. I think you're right. Yeah. Hold on, Ansem.
Yeah, he posted a link, right?
Deepest
V.
Oh yeah. He's even got a jacket over it, but you just can't keep it out.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't keep that
They
V
have
out.
to show it off, man. They have to show it off.
You really do.
Sid is canon Southern. Okay. I look like Lindsay Lohan from The Parent Trap. Yeah. I looked more like her when I was younger too. Actually, somebody just brought it up. And
I see it. Holy crap! Holy crap!
When I was younger, there's a picture of me on Instagram from when I was little, and I'm like cheesing it up hardcore with little pigtails. It looks like really similar to like young Lindsay Lohan in The Parent Trap. It looks like super similar. It's pretty funny.
But anyway, so you'll see more of Sephiroth in the future.
Yeah, I know.
But so far, we've established for you a background for this character. Now,
what I liked in the exploration of him, of Sephiroth, is that like they actually make you play the flashback. It's not like you're getting experience or anything from that, but it's just like I was saying on stream. So once Sephiroth like disappears in the mansion, you have to find him, and then he also like is done reading in the mansion and then disappears again. It's basically like Cloud, by forcing you to play as Cloud and explore the mansion. Back and forth and it like not essentially not skipping any rooms, you know, you have to like run through every room. It's like building up the anticipation and the tension for like, okay, what's actually happening. So I think that's actually really clever of them to force you to play it.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
And there's another effect that comes from that too, forcing the character to play a flashback rather than telling it in a scene. Is you get to feel, and I've already seen it take an effect in you because you mentioned it.
Yeah.
is you really start to feel what a powerful character he is.
Yeah.
Because they put you directly alongside him.
Yeah, because Sephiroth's like, I'm going to go first. Everybody dies.
Exactly, every single time.
Okay. Yeah.
Did the dragon kill you?
No.
When you
no,
fight the dragon?
Because Sephiroth went first, and then it kept attacking Sephiroth and doing 0 damage. And I was like,
yeah.
Okay.
You can't, big dragon, big ass green dragon can't even touch him. And like, that's kind of stuff that, like, given RNG, that might even not happen. Yeah. Sometimes the dragon attacks you. Oh, Anthony, thanks so much for the resub, man. Welcome back.
I never got attacked by any character in the flashback, and I didn't know if that was on purpose or not. I guess Sephiroth was just fast enough, and when I was fighting the dragon, it was just RNG. Yeah. I didn't know.
Yeah, it actually is RNG in that battle.
Okay.
So basically, so speedrunners, for example, always pray that Sephiroth goes first and that the dragon attacks Sephiroth.
Okay.
Because if it kills Cloud, then there's a chance that Sephiroth takes another turn to res Cloud.
Oh, interesting. So you wanted to kill... Okay.
Well, you want him to not kill Cloud so Sephiroth kills the dragon as quickly as possible. Yeah, exactly. But it's complete RNG.
Well, I got really good RNG. Let's go.
Yeah. And the psychological effect, the not even the psychological effect, just the portrayal of the power of this character immediately makes you respect and fear him, which you should do. And they've set that up so well because you haven't even seen him in person yet. Right. You already know that you're chasing him, or I guess not.
Right.
I guess
we're trying to.
I guess we're not really chasing him, are we?
We're just trying to stop him in a roundabout way. That's what it seems like we're going to try to do. But that's my knowledge of it.
I think at that point in the game, just you don't really have a concrete plan. It's basically right now it's get out of Midgar.
Yeah, right now we're out of Midgar, and now we have to like figure out. I don't know. We're just kind of hanging out at the moment. Oh no, the last thing Barrett's like, we gotta stop Sephiroth, but we haven't figured out anything else to do yet.
Right. And one thing that's a little bit inconsistent in the story. One thing that they could have done better is everybody immediately recognizes Sephiroth as the primary threat just because Cloud said so. Mm-hmm. Whereas you would think a guy with Barrett's convictions would probably still be like,
oh, I guess Barrett,
maybe. Yeah. But at the same time, I guess you're also in a situation where you don't have any choice but to run anyway. Yeah. So it's not like I think Barrett is sticking around at this point, but he's not necessarily 100% committed to this anti-Sephiroth thing that we have going on.
Yeah, he just wants to. I think he just wants to feel productive, honestly, towards saving the planet. Right. I think that's like his main goal. He's like, I just want to like do something good for the planet, and this is the only lead I have now. So I guess we'll just run with it. I think that's kind of
so we'll see. We'll see if he brings up his struggle and his stuff, his original motivations again later.
Right.
But trust me when I say Barrett's another character that I want to just say Barrett's one of my favorite characters, and I'm just not going to tell you why. How about we leave it at that?
Cool. Yeah, I think that's good to say.
Actually, what do you think about him so far? What you know about him so far?
I think
Barrett's another one I like to get opinions on.
Incredibly stubborn nature is a little like grating at times when you're like, dude, just calm down.
Yeah, he's kind of like a bull.
Yes. Oh, very much. Yeah, very much. But I think when you see a little bit of his reasoning, like his daughter and like how much he loves her, you're like, okay, well, I see the endearing side of you. And even though like you're really kind of aggressive and stubborn, you also like have a soft side and are good in battle, so that's fine. You can stick around. So
as long as you're good at fighting.
Yeah. But Red's also pretty strong too. I like him so far.
Yeah, Red's fine.
Red's good.
My
current party is Cloud, Tifa, and Red. And I know that's like really random for other people because they're like, oh, I really like Aerith, or I really like Barrett. I'm like, you know what I'm just going to try this out because I'm sure everybody's fine anyway.
Play with who you like. Yeah. Actually, fun fact, and just a little like thing that you would probably never use in a real run. Tifa is hands down the most overpowered character in the game.
Oh, okay. Don't tell me why, but good to know.
I won't.
Okay.
I won't. I'm not going to tell you how to abuse it. You couldn't at this point in the game anyway.
Okay.
Because you haven't obtained the necessary materials to make her super OP.
I mean, that's how. I mean, that's in every game. There's always one character that gets something incredibly overpowered, like the crossbow and overwhelm and 15. And if you never did that, you should go back and fight a boss. Just go back and fight a boss and use it, and then you'll be like, "This is stupid." It's
I'm gonna have to. I do plan on revisiting 15 anyway, so I'll have to go back. You'll have to tell me where the crossbow is.
Okay.
Um,
It's really.
or I'll just
Oh
go
no.
find
Oh,
it.
that one's. It's in a dungeon, and it's like level 3 or level 6 enemies all the way down, and then you fight like a level 55 boss.
Oh, cool. Final Fantasy 15 at its finest.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think they're just trying to. And he has like, I think there's like a gimmick for him. So like, in case you're under leveled, you can still beat him. You just have to like know what to do, because I think he's like a warrior. So if you like counter him correctly, you can beat him.
Gotcha.
At whatever level. Yeah, you just have to be like really good. So.
Okay. Yeah, well, so like in Final Fantasy, they always kind of take these. They'll give you like character-specific weapons that just have, or armor, or spells, whatever.
Yeah.
And they're just like, okay, we'll add like a cool little modifier to it, so it's fun.
And
It'll have like a cool situational use.
And then people just exploit it.
Exactly. There's always a way to exploit those to crazy. Like you're a speedrunner,
Yeah.
So that's in like every game. So Tifa has a couple of those, and they're just really fun to play with and have her crank out like crazy damage really early game.
Yeah.
So always respect Tifa. Everybody should definitely respect Tifa, because Tifa's a really fun character to me. I'll tell you why.
Mm-hmm.
And you can kind of see this so far already. She's a little bit, in her personality, she's a little bit meek. And she hasn't really shown that too much yet.
Yeah. Well, just her saying, Cloud, I want you to be there to save me, is her being like, it's okay if I'm not always a dominant character. Like, or a dominant personality. And so I thought that was kind of interesting. But I like her because she is, she's reasonable, she's talented, she kicks butt. And
she's awesome.
Yeah.
Tifa
and I'm like, yo, crop tops. You're my girl wearing crop tops.
Yes.
It's cool.
Yeah, she's got that great fashion sense. And the best thing I think about Tifa is that she is like a very accomplished martial artist.
Mm-hmm.
She has done it, but she's
it's not overstated. She doesn't talk about it. She's not like, I'm the best there is. Like, she's
right, exactly.
Yeah.
She's very obviously powerful. She can kind of run with like this dude Cloud, who she does some crazy. She owns a bar. She goes on eco-terrorist freedom bombing runs and like successfully gets away.
Yeah.
But she's still nevertheless very, very self-conscious. She doesn't really seem to have a lot of confidence in herself, despite. And that's really not uncommon. That's not an uncommon trait.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people view that as Tifa being a weak character.
No, I think that's very human. I feel
exactly
like that. Like, people will be like, "Oh, you're really good at this." I'm like, "No, I don't think so." Regardless of whether I am or not. Like, it's just that kind of like, oh, I relate to that because I don't feel like I'm,
There are plenty of people who, no matter what they do, no matter what great achievements they make, will still feel like they're not doing well enough.
Right.
Tifa very much ranks as a character like that to me.
Yeah. It's cool. Yeah, and so I guess no, you finished, and then I was gonna do a little comparison.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, because like the game immediately presents like, which character do you like better? Player of this game, do you like Aerith better, or do you like Tifa better?
They do kind of give that, yeah.
Yeah, and so like I obviously have to think about that already, and I was like, well, I guess I've listed the reasons I like Tifa, and then with Aerith, like I like that she's kind of fearless.
Yeah.
I do like that about her. I think it's interesting. It's kind of like how Luna is in the Kingsglaive movie. She's like, this might be dangerous, but I don't give a fuck. And then she'll just kind of do whatever she wants. So I like that because it's kind of like her taking action and it's good. But then there's a way where she has this kind of, like, maybe it was just when she was like, if you be my bodyguard, I'll go on a date with you. Is that kind of like, oh, well, you're very overly confident. Maybe it's the opposite where she's not like meek. So it's good, like that fearlessness can lead with like good confidence, but then at the same time she's like, well, clearly he'll do this because he wants to date me. And then I'm like, I don't know.
I personally always saw Eris's bid to get Cloud to date her and be her body, in exchange for being her bodyguard.
Yeah.
As her expressing interest in him.
Right, I think so too.
Necessarily he would.
Yeah,
right,
I know.
like she just wants him to go on a date with her.
Yeah.
But you definitely nailed it on the head. Eris and Tifa have a really cool sort of juxtaposition between each other, where they're total polar opposites in the sense that Tifa is very physically powerful and totally lacks confidence.
Yeah.
Whereas Eris is extremely brash and forward.
Yeah.
But is physically very meek. She's, the caster and stuff like that. And like needs a bodyguard and, all that stuff.
I got really upset when she admitted to the bodyguard date contract when they were in the prison cells and Tifa's there and she's like, oh my god, Tifa, I didn't know. And I'm like, I hate you. I'm like, they were locked up in a prison room, like in a cell together. There's only one bed. Look, just let them do what they want to do, okay? Clearly there's something there, and it's just it's a bummer that like
it's there is something there.
Yeah.
I will say that much.
Yeah, of course.
But
Cloud's not gonna the guy who's trying to act all emotionless is not gonna give a shit about Tifa unless he actually legit gives a shit about her. So.
Right, exactly. You do have to take into account like the kind of guy Cloud is,
right?
And see what kind of guy he is. You know, I think at this point in the game, it would be hard to make that kind of judgment because he's pretty standoffish with both of them. Even if you're given the option to be pretty nice, he's still like, you can tell he's a little guarded.
Right, exactly.
He's definitely not diving into anything right now. His original motivations were to just get his money and get out.
I can also tell the thing that you were saying about him is that he's trying to act confident. He's like he's trying to come across. So he's like right in between the two girls, like in terms of personality, where he's trying to act like he's like, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, but
it's like
exactly.
not always there. Like so, like he does a good job, like leading, and of course, like that's why they're like, oh, we want you to be our leader. And I'm like, that makes sense. Also, I'm the main character, so whatever.
Right, and he does it kind of reluctantly.
Right. So it's like okay, so he's not like completely egotistical or anything, but he's kind of trying to give off this air like, I know everything. But then you're like, you don't know everything.
Yeah, exactly. He thinks he knows better than everybody. Anything, he's, in my opinion, a very, very well.
Yeah, Barrett just wanted to be the
characterized
leader.
guy.
Yeah.
Because you can see that he's kind of putting on this front.
Yeah.
This is why this is my favorite game. Every character feels so human to me.
Right.
Because they have these very realistic and complicated flaws.
Yeah. I understand that. And I think that's part of why I liked in 15, liked the conversations you saw between the four bros, because it was very realistic in a way. Like,
it characterizes them more. It makes them more human to you.
Yeah.
It makes you attached to them.
Yeah,
it makes you get you invested in the relationships that they have.
Yeah. So the Final Fantasy like developers, whatever, they often do a good job at least like the relationships between characters or creating very good, believable humanistic elements about these characters, like in their personalities. Like they at least like they're good at showing a flaw.
Right.
And usually good at showing it without it being too overstated. Like I know 10 is my favorite. I like to call him Tudis. He's a little immature to the extreme at first, but at least they show really good growth. And then Waka's a little like extreme in personality, but it makes sense for who he is at least.
Yeah, he's kind of the loud friend.
Yeah, just that kind of like religious side of him. You just see it's like they're showing a stereotype, but in a very kind of humanist, like in a very realistic way. That's not like it's not trying to be negative towards him. It's just showing that like he's really trying to always stand his ground and stick with his beliefs as much as he possibly can.
Yeah, when they give a reason for the way a character acts, you can justify way more character actions, and way more character quirks and interesting.
Right.
You just have to show a little bit behind them. You can't just prop up a character and say, this is what they do, this is what we like about them, just accept it. Yeah. And that's what a lot of games these days are guilty of. A lot of times we just hear a plot point or a character trait, and then it's just like, and to bring up Final Fantasy 15 since it's fresh in my memory, one example of something they did poorly was the revelation that Prompto was made in a lab or something. Right.
It's like, really? And then they're like, oh, that's cool, man. We like you anyway. We don't care. We don't need any more details on it. Let's keep going. Like, what?
It's propped up. You're told about it. And then just, that's real dramatic, isn't it? Get out of here. Yeah. Like,
whose story comes out first, guys, by the way, chat, while we're talking? One of the chapters comes out first. It's either Prompto or Gladio. I think Gladio comes first, and then Prompto will be later this year.
I'm cool with either or, because both of them needed way more characterization.
Yeah.
Ignis was the only one I was really happy with.
I may have made a new donation random notification, so every once in a while, like if somebody guesses the right number or something, it'll show Ignis with that's it.
That's it.
So my notification says like, this person has just come up with a new recipe.
Oh my god, that's awesome. That is genius. Come up with a new recipe. Did I send you that GIF?
I think so.
So it was like the Old Spice commercial
Yes,
with Terry Crews.
Yeah, you did. It's so funny. So like, okay, so if you go on Twitch Alerts, guys, or Streamlabs or whatever you call it, and you put different donation settings on, like variations on there, and you only have one set to, like, the condition is randomly. Like, I had a few that were set for certain amounts, and then I said this one as random, so I thought it would legit be random. Every donation was the Ignis one. Like, 4 times in a row, and I was like, no, this is not supposed to happen all the time.
Everyone came up with the recipe.
Yeah. Everybody was coming up with new recipes. It was really funny, though. Hi, guys. Great. Okay, so Gladio's is first. Okay, cool. All right.
Good. And that's the kind of stuff that 15 was missing that would have made it a great game, was this sort of explanation and backstory that helps you understand a character a little bit better. We know that Prompto is a little bit clingy, a little bit shy, a little bit meek, but at the same time extremely supportive of his friends, goofy, honest, and a total photographer. You know, like,
he's a little nerd.
He's a little nerd.
In the best way.
And that's exactly. I honestly, as much as I made fun of Prompto was I actually really liked it.
Yeah, I have a friend. So I met somebody, or my sister's friend. So now he's a new friend, right? So he's playing through 15 for the first time now, and he's like, Prompto's okay, and I'm like, give it time. I think he'll grow on you.
He definitely grew on me. He's like the little brother.
Yeah.
You know, he's like you want to smack him, but at the same time you love him.
Yeah, he's really endearing. He gets kind of like, even though his quirks become more apparent as the game went on, they kind of bugged me less over time for some reason.
Right. Yeah. And I think that a lot more of the audience would just find him even more endearing, and they even might have that sort of initial annoyance, towards him that a lot of us feel.
Yeah.
But the second you take that character, you give the player a certain kind of impression at first.
Yeah.
And then you take that impression and you flip it by just revealing a little bit more about the character.
Yeah.
Saying in 5 seconds I was made in a lab isn't going to do that.
Yeah. So at least
giving him a backstory.
At least they offered enough about him to make you warm up to him and adore him in whatever way. But yeah, I think this will help even more. This will really give you that thing you're craving, you know?
There's something about a character, just like a real person, where you're going to have a first impression, and that's sometimes negative, and that can be used in fiction to a great cause, to get you to dislike a character at first, solely so that the author can convince you over time to like this character.
Yeah, I've seen that happen a lot. And when they do it right, you're just like, okay, cool.
A dynamic character shift is one of the most satisfying things that you can put into a work of fiction, in my opinion. There's one of the dynamic characters like that you start hating and you end up loving. And a lot of times all that takes is a little bit of justification for why they are that way. Just like in real life, when you start to get to know somebody a little bit and understand what they go through on a daily basis or what they've been through, you might look on them a little bit more favorably.
Right, exactly. Yeah. It's just like, you know, it's the judge a book by its cover thing, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah. And getting to know people.
Yeah. It's going to sound familiar. That's how you feel about me, right, Kim? First impression is negative and then grown to love them. Or you think that's how I feel about you? Because, I know, right?
Lad's got demons, though. Who's got demons? I think that was an autocorrective Cloud. Cloud's got demons. Would you say so far that you would describe Cloud as a guy who's got some demons?
Me?
Just guessing.
Not really. That's not how I would see it yet, because what I see is he basically idolized somebody, tried to be like them, and then they turned out to be insane, and then he's like, oh shit. I gotta go. Also, you killed my family, so I'm a piece of hell.
So he's at least been through some shit, as has Tifa. So far we've seen a pretty in-depth backstory for Cloud and Tifa, and we know that they are united solely through they're united in the fact that they used to be friends, but also in the fact that they have suffered pretty immeasurable loss.
Yeah, and both of them through suffering. Through Sephi. All right.
Yeah, at the hands of the same person, and ultimately at the same, what they kind of blame on the same company.
Right.
So far we've established that indirectly Shinra is responsible for the destruction of their hometown and the loss of their families.
In a way, yeah.
Well, keep in mind that Sephiroth was the star soldier of the Shinra Corporation.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
so.
Well, isn't Sephiroth a victim of Shinra too in a way? If what I have already learned about him is true, then yeah, in a way. because like if that's true that. Okay, what I need to understand, and maybe more of the game will explain this, so it might not be up to you to explain anything, but
sure.
Or chat. This might not be a good time to say if I'm correct or not. But what I've come to understand is that, or what I'm confused about, I guess, is that Sephiroth is both an ancient but created in. But he's like, is he like artificially an ancient? Because like what? I don't get it. Because it's like...
Right, so...
Does he think he's an ancient because Genova was, and then they created him based off of her? Like, that's what I'm wondering. Okay.
That is why he believed himself to be an ancient, because
so he's,
Genova...
Okay.
Genova was this last discovered ancient, right?
Right.
This ancient...
Who he thought was the last one. Yeah.
And then he was created using her cells due to their impressive
So he's
properties.
an artificial ancient. Okay.
Right, exactly. Basically, he's an artificial ancient, and he also believes himself to be
It looks like some of it will get explained
the sole
later.
heir of the ancients.
Okay, right, exactly.
Because keep in mind, at his point during the flashback, we know that Aerith is an ancient.
Right, we do, but I don't know if he does. I mean, back then he didn't.
Right.
Yeah, of course.
Back certainly during the flashback, nobody knows about Aerith. Aerith is just a little girl at this point.
Right.
Her mom's off doing whatever it was she was.
No, she's not a little girl. When the flashback where Sephi goes bad, Cloud was 16, so she would have been 17. Boop.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, you're right. It wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, but it's
I
still...
always forget that her and Cloud are...
She's still kind of like a nobody in terms of anybody coming after... Like, Shinra hasn't probably come after her in a long time, so nobody's heard about her, you know?
Right, and one thing that you haven't... All right, you know what? Never mind.
Yeah,
forget what I was about to say.
Phil says that I am asking all the right questions, at least.
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Correct.
So, yeah.
I am a proud co-host right now.
It's good. I think one of the best things you prepped me for that was like, it wasn't a spoiler, but it was a good kind of assessment of character, was just realizing or just not judging Cloud based on what I already knew about him, like from the Kingdom Hearts thing. So I knew that he was like a bit more layered. So it allowed me to pay a bit more attention, like a bit closer attention to that.
Definitely. And one thing that I really like reminding people is that the version of Cloud that you're going to get in Final Fantasy VII is entirely different from every Cloud that's come afterwards.
Okay.
Because Cloud's been in a bunch of shit at this point.
So this is probably the most maybe realistic version of him, or the most layered potentially.
Yes, definitely. This is the one that I see as like the true Cloud, is the best written Cloud, the original Cloud. But you know, they've had Advent Children, which stars Cloud, the follow-up movie. He shows up in some of the prequels, which are interesting takes on him. But for the most part, the truest Cloud that I see is the one that we see in Final Fantasy VII.
Right.
And to compare him to the one in Kingdom Hearts, he's very similar in a lot of the other media. He's broody, he's dark, he's you know, and that all comes from the fact that Cloud is actually so named because of the dark cloud that hangs over his head.
Right. So he's got shit to deal with, and he's also kind of moody and whatever. I don't know. Exactly. I get it. It's just
In Final Fantasy VII, he's that doesn't mean the fact that he has a dark cloud over his head doesn't stop him from being a person. You know, he's still he does a more realistic thing in regards to so far the real Cloud that you've seen that hangs over his head is the murder of his family in his hometown.
Right. I mean, he was a little. He's always been a bit stoic. So once you hear enough from him, you see where the emotions come through, or like when they do. But he still acts kind of stoic about stuff. Like, you know, Tifa gets like slashed in half pretty much, and he doesn't yell about it. He's just like, "Don't die, please." And then he's like, "Sephiroth, why'd you kill my family and like murder all my friends?"
I personally think
Clouds of pizza.
No, his reaction is going to be explained.
Yeah.
In not ever specifically directly addressed, but his kind of muted reaction to what's happening could be explained in two ways. One that you would have already seen is simply the fact that comes at the end of, like, he's already seen that his mom is dead. Yeah. He's probably in complete shock at this point.
Right, probably. You know, well, the other thing is I could see, I mean, his reaction wasn't coming out so much verbally as it was physically. Because he's like, you did this, so we're going to fight.
Right, exactly.
He's like, I know you're stronger than me, but we're going to fight anyway. Which shows that, like, anybody who is thinking logically, probably wouldn't have done that. So I understand.
Exactly, and
Just hit you. Oh, okay.
exactly that. But there is a second explanation for that I won't go into until you're later in the game.
Okay. Right, exactly.
But people who have played the game probably know what I'm gonna get at.
Okay. How hard is it so far to have to hold back on some stuff?
It's not that hard.
Cool.
I'm actually really enjoying it because you don't understand. Like I said at the beginning of the show, it is so hard to get people to play this game. This is the first time I've gotten to like talk to somebody through playing the game for the first time in like probably a good 10 years. I'm really excited. So doing the little gymnastics to try to avoid spoilers is totally worth it.
Okay, cool. Okay, that's good.
Totally worth it. No, Zangin, this is Kung Fu's first ever playthrough.
Yeah.
First ever.
First ever. There you go.
So I'm very excited.
Cool. Got it.
But yeah.
Well, I'm glad that it's not like
I feel like I was
excruciating for you.
No, not at all. But I did feel like I was gonna bring up something next, and I'm struggling to recall what it was.
Okay.
Oh well, it's probably gone.
You know what I thought about is I actually saw more parallels in some of the gameplay elements between 7 and 15 than I did between either of those in 10.
Definitely, I've definitely felt a lot of influence from 7.
Yeah,
and 15,
me too. So I mean, just based on my basic play, basic elements of the game, I just noticed that with because I was trying to see the overlap between 10 and 15, and when I saw it I was like cool, and then otherwise I was like whatever, this is a new game, it's a new style. But now I'm playing 7 and I'm like, oh, all these things that were new to me in 15 were actually introduced in 7. Like in 10 they didn't use anything like spirit and vitality in any of that, so I never dealt with that. In 10 I don't think so. It was more like on your grid you just had stuff like power, defense, magic, luck.
Right, okay.
And then like the actual things you could like the
definitely, yeah,
stuff you could learn. I'd never seen a star pendant, like all this stuff, like all these things. I'm like, wow, these are totally reused. I didn't realize because 10 was
and
so
that's
different.
actually pretty simplified compared to a lot of the previous Final Fantasies, because Final Fantasy was created in the first place to be a simplification of the D&D style of RPG.
Oh, okay, interesting. Yeah, so I guess
that
10
was the
was
first
like
one.
Besides the sphere grid, which is like the most complicated the level system gets, like 10 I guess is really simple. Like I agree with Andy. It's like basic compared to like 7 and some elements of 15. Though 15
in 7 it's very streamlined, and in 15 it's very streamlined for sure. And then you get the customization that you want.
It's streamlined. No, I'm saying 10 is more basic than 7 or 15 in a way.
10, okay. Oh, 10 is more
because
basic.
You're like, here is your
right.
HP, here's your MP, and here are your like weaknesses or strengths. Go. Right.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying now.
Yeah.
99 Problems says I would kill to go back to playing Final Fantasy VII for the first time. Me too, man. Me too. I wish I could play this game for the first time.
I was stuck in Shinra headquarters for an hour yesterday trying to figure out the freaking puzzle for the mayor, and I spent 1,500 gil, and then I didn't have 2,000 gil, and I was like, I'm not gonna go farm it, so I feel like I just wasted all this money, and I'm like, I don't know how to do it. So I asked for like a small hint in chat, and then they just had to keep telling me more and more small hints until they were like, have you considered this thing? And I'm like, oh, that's what you do. I'm like, okay, I figured it out.
Yeah,
it was rough because I was trying to do it blind, and I'm like, I don't know what to do, and I don't want to look it up.
One thing that I will admit to is that I was a strategy guide kid growing up.
I'm more like parents, that too. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. My parents bought me the strategy guide along with the game I got this game when I was 9, right? I wasn't buying shit for myself.
But I guess they were just trying to help you understand it.
Well, they were talked into it by the guy that worked at Funko.
Oh, okay.
They were, because he said he was like, now back when it came out, this game sold record numbers of sale. It popularized RPGs with a Western audience.
Yeah.
Like this was an entire genre you couldn't sell outside of Japan until Final Fantasy VII dropped. So people were pushing it all over. This was like, people couldn't stop talking about it when it came out.
Right.
And I happened to go into, I had gotten good grades or whatever it was. My mom said that, that she'd get me a new gaming system. We go to Funko Land. She picks up a PlayStation. We got Crash Bandicoot, and it's just a regular animal platformer. And then she was like, what else should we get for it? This guy's immediately like, yo, Final Fantasy VII. But I'm a dumb 9-year-old kid. So like he was like, you know what else? He might have a little bit of a hard time with it.
So you should get him the strategy guide.
Right. So that he's like, it's a complicated game. You should get him so he knows what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I always grew up like knowing all the answers to that. If I wanted the answer to like the Midgar puzzle or whatever, I could just like go in there. And I personally think 7 is a game that plays well with a guide.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, just because some of the answers to puzzles are a little bit dumb. I will admit that.
It's okay. I mean, what I attribute it to is being an older game, because Chrono Trigger had some puzzles that were in a similar fashion. Like, how would I have figured that out on my own? And I mean, the game.
Know, right? Yeah.
Well, the game's like not expecting you to. They're just like, you have to spend all your money if you actually want to figure this out. So good luck. So
also, one that is true. It's totally optional.
Yeah,
that is one thing.
Yeah, so you can try to figure it out. But then they were just wondering. I was just wondering if like the material is worth it, and they were like, "Yeah, it's cool to have. It can be worth it to use." And I was like, "Okay." So then,
it's good. Did you end up getting it?
I did.
Okay.
That's why.
What did you get for that? The elemental materia?
It was either elemental or the enemy. Enemy strike was where the elevator was right outside of Genova. I got elemental.
Enemy skill you get. And it's good. It's good that you got that, because that is the one enemy skill materia that if you forget to pick that up, you can never get it again.
Oh, and the enemy one. I have it equipped
skill
on red right now, and I've just heard it's good to have on all the time.
Oh yeah, no, it's very good to have. There's only a couple of those in the game, so if you and that's the first one you have access to. So if you happen to just like walk out of that screen,
you're done.
You can never pick it up, and you can't get it. You can't get that one until you can't get another enemy skill materia for like a good while.
Okay, that's good to know.
So you'll miss out on like a lot of early enemy skills.
Cool. I always try to look for items all the time when I'm going around. Yeah, and then the door puzzle, where you're trying to get all the items. Where is it?
Oh yeah, that one's pretty tough.
That one.
You have to try a couple different things.
Right, if you want to get all of the items. So I kind of figured out that I had to use the air ducts immediately, but then I was like, which doors? So I ended up like somebody was like, yeah, I like drew a map to figure it out. So I was like, okay, I'll do the same thing. And so I like drew a map.
I always just end up trying process of elimination, trying every single route that's available, because there's only a handful of configurations in that room.
I drew the map, and as soon as I drew this, I was like, oh, the back here, got it. And I was
that's right. I always remember it's like the long back way that you go.
Yeah, it's because they don't show it, so it doesn't seem as obvious at first. But yeah.
I love the ascent through Shinra Tower personally.
Yeah,
it gives you so much insight into how the company and the city are run.
Yeah,
because the things like that guy that you have to give the password to. Go ahead.
Sorry, just got a reason. Thank you so much, Dislux, for 3 months. You're awesome. I appreciate it.
Woo!
Okay, so the mayor.
So the mayor's the guy that you give the password to, and he explains to you, he's like, I'm just a glorified figurehead. I don't do shit. Shinra runs the company. Shinra runs the world. Yeah. Right? Shinra runs the city. And that already establishes that this is like, they may be a power company, but they're a de facto government.
Right.
They basically, they have the military. They hold all the cards.
Yeah.
They're really a dictatorship.
Right.
Great world building right there. Yeah. All through a simple conversation with a dude that you meet on your way up to save your
Well, you hear about how he doesn't do anything earlier when the guys at Shinra are talking.
That's true too, yeah.
When it's the head of Shinra and the guy...
In the board meeting.
No, it was before the board meeting. They're just in the head of Shinra's headquarters, like in his office. And it's like 2 other guys are in there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and who's the dude in the suit who goes after Eris?
The dude in the suit who goes after one of the Turks?
Yeah, Reno.
Oh, or Sung.
I think it was Reno. And he was just saying, like, they were talking about the mayor for a little bit up there, like early on in the game.
Yeah.
And they're just saying, like, oh, he's useless. Why would you talk to him anyway? He doesn't do anything.
Yeah. They say something. They basically dismiss him.
Something like that, yeah.
But yeah, that's the kind of world building that I really enjoy, and being basically left unattended in the enemy headquarters for so long early in the game really gives you sort of a good feel of what you're up against.
Yeah.
That's something I always like. It's kind of like in Wind Waker when you go to the Forsaken Fortress right away. Like the first thing you do is go right to Ganon's fortress and meet Ganon.
Oh yeah,
and then he like kicks your ass and throws you back out in the ocean.
And
you're not gonna come.
You're not ready for this. I hate you.
It'll be years before you can face me, Link. Like that kind of
thing. Yeah, exactly.
I personally love that. Shinra's kind of the same way, because what happens when you storm the castle? You get kidnapped, you get locked in a cell, and the only reason you get busted out is because Sephiroth was feeling stabby that day.
I kind of... Like stabby. That's awesome. I actually kind of didn't like how easily they give up. Like, you're fighting everybody, and then you get in the elevator, and two dudes walk in, and they're like, time to go. And I'm like, how is that why you get caught?
Right.
Like, later on, you fight a robot from the one elevator to the other elevator on the way down, but, like, two guys walk in, and suddenly you're like, well, it's over.
Mm-hmm,
like, I thought that was kind of silly.
That is kind of silly. I think the implication is, and the only... That is definitely a flaw, but the Turks are supposed to be super badass.
Yeah, but...
It's the Turks that arrest you, and keep in mind you had to fight one of them 3-on-1. Yeah. And he still is a boss. This is two of them against. I think at that point you're three people still.
Yeah, you're in three.
But that's my only argument for that. That's my only argument. Yeah, you would think that you would at least resist a little bit. I wish that there had been like a boss fight that maybe you couldn't win. Like maybe they had like some secret weapon. Yeah. Like maybe you could fight them on the elevator a little bit, and then they're like, "Haha, net cannon," and then you're in the jail.
Yeah.
But no, you're right about that. That's a little bit of a inconsistency. Like, why does he get
the only thing that I didn't agree with in the game so far, though? So
that is true.
I think
that is true.
If anything else, I just wasn't important enough to remember. Actually.
Yeah, most of the plot devices are pretty fair.
Yeah. Do you guys remember anything else that I didn't agree with? I mean, besides like trying to figure out the puzzle. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, there's one thing. One thing I think you can't disagree with is they make an exit. They make a hell of an exit. That group knows how to boogie out.
Which one?
When it's time to escape.
Oh, the motorcycle.
The motorcycle. It's like when I was a kid, that was my favorite scene.
That's what I thought was bullshit. On the motorcycle, when you're trying to hit them with your sword, I'm like, I can't get next to one of them. I was like, what is that?
The red ones dodge you.
I was
you
like,
notice the orange ones are dumb and the red ones are smart?
Yeah, no, but it didn't matter what color they were. Cloud was really bad at hitting them, ever. He was so bad. I'm like, stop hitting my van. Stop hitting my van.
Well, to be fair, he's swinging a giant sword that's got to weigh like 250 pounds on a motorcycle. No, yeah, I love the scene. Getting the controls down is a little hard.
Yeah.
It's a little, because his sword's like really unwieldy, right? Like you tap the button, he has to wind up and he's like,
Yeah.
You know, it takes a minute. But they'll actually do quite a few mini games throughout the game where all of a sudden the control scheme is changed up.
Okay.
That's probably your first one. I mean, you've seen a couple other ones though. For example, like when everybody has to time the button press at the same time.
Oh yeah. Well, it reminded me.
How long did that take you?
It took me 3 tries.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
good.
because
A lot of people get stuck there for a long time.
No, there was another game I was playing where you have to hit a button at the same time. Oh, in a Sly Cooper game. You have to hit buttons simultaneously with your partner like multiple times in the game. So I was like, "Oh, I'm used to this." Okay, this is when they're swinging. Just do it at the same time.
Perfect timing.
Yeah. I can catch on to that stuff. Yeah. So it didn't take that long.
Yeah. So that's an example of like a quick mini game they throw at you, and I think that's something that a lot of JRPGs have lost in modern day.
Yeah.
Where I just think you need like a little bit of a shake up from the typical select your attack from a menu.
Yeah, I actually kind of like that too. It's nice. I mean, it's like at the beginning of Chrono Trigger when you like do mini games, and then it results in the most bullshit trial I've ever seen in my entire life. And I was like, I'm gonna rage quit and start the game over because this is bullshit.
Definitely.
I mean, but I know it's supposed to be that way, and I get it, and I actually kind of appreciate it, but I also still hate it. But it was cool that at the beginning they're just like, you don't fight anything, you're just doing weird mini games for whatever reason.
Right,
it's kind of
exactly.
funny. Like, so you do something different.
Even when they're not that great, like I agree that the motorcycle chase has like pretty wonky controls.
Yeah.
And even when they're not like done great, it's still a nice break from the action, or I should say, a nice speed up of the action that serves as a break towards the more typical pacing of the game.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, it did take me a while to figure it out, Lana Bean. You're right. To figure out, I was mostly going left and right at first, and I was trying to just stay around the van, and I forgot I could like go back and forth more.
Yeah.
But it was still difficult because then they're like, haha, I'm just gonna like not be next to you.
One thing you can do is just kill the orange bikers until you have 3 red bikers, and then just kind of like herd them into a corner, and they'll just like run away from you because they're red bikers and they're dicks.
That's actually funny. I mean, your characters barely end up getting hurt anyway.
Yeah, they take very, very little damage.
Yeah.
And it's just supposed to make the boss fight a little bit harder. That comes at the end of that.
Oh, because that affects how much HP you actually have going into the fight.
Yeah, right. And you can see every character's health. It's kind of hard to tell, but they'll have different starting health. I thought it was something
earlier. I didn't even pay attention. I didn't realize that. Yeah, because I saw everybody's health bars. I didn't realize it translated like that because I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, you can get pretty good at the bike game though. You can end up like All right, I won't say anymore.
Yeah.
But
That's good, XATM. Oh my god. If you have my chat open, you can see a link that he posted about the button game.
oh god, no, I'm sorry, I didn't have. I totally intended to, and I completely forgot.
Here, I
forgot to load the multi-stream.
I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, send it to me on Discord.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's good. That's funny, man. There you go.
Or whisper, either one.
Here you go. What's up, guys? I will be playing. Yeah, I will both be playing Final Fantasy VII after this. Just so you guys know, both of us will be, right? Because you said you're starting. You what?
Yes. Yeah. Sorry. I was reading it. That is great. That's how I feel every single time I do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will be starting tonight.
Yeah, so he'll be starting, and I just got out of Midgar, so that's where you both are. But he'll probably he knows what he's doing, so he'll do. Oh, I missed
It'll be
getting
like my millionth playthrough.
I missed getting picked as Miss Cloud. Because I didn't know that was a thing.
No.
I didn't know that was a thing. So I've had to tell chat, I'm like, I'm sorry for all of the hilarious things that I don't know how to do yet. I'm just going to have to do it in my second playthrough because I don't know. I didn't know you could do that. I was like, oh, good, I got a dress made. We're all set. Let's go. I didn't realize you could do more. Yeah, all you need is
the dress and the wig.
Yeah, I thought I had both on.
If you try really hard, it's actually kind of better to not get picked because then you get sent to the back room with the lackeys and there's some free items. I think you get like a tent or something.
Oh, yeah.
Which is nice.
Yeah, I got some stuff from them. Yeah.
Yeah. And you get XP for killing the dudes.
Also, what I thought was hilarious and also like crazy to see in a video game is when they are going up against, when they corner the Don in the bedroom and then Cloud goes talk and then he leans on the bed and he's like, or I'll chop it off. And I was like, whoa! Holy shit!
I love that scene.
And then the other two girls also threaten him to, like, basically ruin his manhood in one way or another. Yeah. And I was like, this is so intense for a game like this. I was like, I was not expecting that.
Right? Not to mention, there's like this whole seedy slum where there's like a whorehouse and a crime boss whose mansion is basically another whorehouse. I
didn't expect the characters you can play as to say stuff like that to the to the creepy characters, which I'm like, I love it in a way because it's like he's terrible, so that's a great threat to make. But like to show that they're making that threat in a game is so funny. Oh my god!
Right? It's like it was ballsy. It was ballsy and very much like more adult. You know, it wasn't like the most mature conversation in the world, but it was like it added that cool little like crime drama aspect and the fact that like we are dealing with a bad dude. A dude who's killed many people. We're gonna have to physically threaten him, and like they're just not afraid to do what they need to do in order to get the job done. You know,
it's great. So it's like a really funny moment of shock and comedy at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. It is a great comedic relief moment. Don Corneo is one of my favorite shitty bosses, or shitty. He's not a boss, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, he just drops him below. He's like, I hate you.
Yeah, then you have to fight his sewer monster that he has down there for some goddamn reason.
I was like, that's random.
For whatever reason.
Yeah, the cross-dress thing. So the fact that they made him like cross-dress so early was also really funny because it's just like messing with his initial character, like personality, like right away. They're really
throws a wrench into that.
Look how stoic Cloud is. JK, he dresses like a girl.
Exactly. Throw him in a dress and then he's gonna sit there like, ugh.
Yeah, it's so funny. That was funny. It was really funny. And he also walks like a little, he walks very daintily when he's in that outfit.
Like a traditional, nice, like good little Japanese lady.
I know, it's so funny.
Yeah.
But you know what that just makes me think about in games, in video games? Look, there are too many Japanese-based video games where when somebody gets in a dress that doesn't usually wear a dress, suddenly they can't function like a normal human being. Like in Animal Crossing, you run normally like this, right? When you're in pants and a shirt. Right? And then as soon as you put a dress on, you run like this.
Really? You immediately stop?
And I'm like, are you really?
Seriously?
Really? And so,
that's pretty hilarious.
And so it was like the same thing when Cloud put on the dress. I think it's really funny that he acts different because he's a dude, but I'm like, come on.
He's trying to be more ladylike. He has to try to de-accentuate his masculine features.
It's acceptable to me to see him do that than to see the characters in Animal Crossing run differently.
Going like this.
Just because of a dress. Even in a skirt, you run normally, but they're like, oh, dress, suddenly you can't run right. It's just like,
so everybody wants to know, unfortunately, Kung Fu did not get the Bubby experience. She did not get the invitation to join the Young Bubbies Club.
No,
you missed.
What is that?
when you do the whole dress side quest, you kind of get to see. I won't go into,
the
details
dudes
in
in
case
the
you play
gym?
again.
Is it the dudes in the gym?
Yeah, no. It's not even the dudes in the gym.
Oh.
It's the dudes in the Bumblebee Inn, which
Oh,
is
I
all
didn't
the
get
way
to go
south.
in there. They won't let
No,
me
you can
in.
get a membership card if you do the right thing
Damn
and
it.
get inside.
I wanted to get in there and see what it was like.
Yeah, you do.
God
Because
damn
it's
it.
I won't go into any more details, but it is like one of the funniest scenes. Just in case you ever replay the game.
Okay, well, I mean, I probably will because I want to explore more now that like I've gone through it. And
Yeah.
next time I go through, I'll like look up more stuff beforehand so that I can try it out. But
Yeah,
this
exactly.
experience,
It's always good to do a blind run. And
yeah,
then
exactly.
a guided run.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Awesome.
How did I feel about sneaking into Shinra? So I took the stairs instead of the elevator.
Okay.
And it's just really funny because Barrett just complains the whole time.
Did you notice Tifa calls him a retard?
Yes!
Well,
I said and laughed at the same time because I thought it was really funny.
Tifa drops the R bomb a lot. Like I think she's the only one too in the whole game.
Well, it was like, even 10, 15 years ago, like saying somebody is retarded is a lot. It was like a lot less like PC than it is now.
Yeah, it was a lot less offensive.
Yeah, like
back
I said,
then, but...
I said it growing up. Like kids kids our age growing up, you're just like, oh, you're being so retarded.
It wasn't a bad word when we were growing up. We like didn't know it was bad.
Yeah, exactly. So I think
the
like
translation team.
Yeah.
and actually, I think that in Japan it's still kind of like their word for basically being mentally handicapped is still kind of thrown around.
Okay.
Okay. I know for a fact that one of the bosses in Bloodborne is called in English is called the vacuous spider.
Okay.
And you've got vacuous is kind of like a weird word.
Right.
In the Japanese translation, it's actually closer to the retarded spider.
That's really funny.
Which serves a whole story purpose. There's like a reason why it's like, but the point is it's a spider with no mental faculties.
Oh,
basically.
okay. Well, that makes sense.
It used to be a person.
Okay, I got you.
Anyway.
Honey Bien is half the Final Fantasy VII experience. Somebody said. Okay, it's good to know.
But...
Yeah. So then taking the stairs. So I didn't know what the difference would be. I thought I might get caught if I go in the main building, which is why I decided to sneak around because I was like, that seems like the more obvious choice to me as a person. I would rather sneak into a corporation rather than go through the front door because we're not in any disguise. Like Bear would just go in and be like, "We're here to ruin your company," and then like we just get screwed over. So I was like, "Why?"
He's got a gun for an arm. He's like not even gonna try to hide it. Like put a blanket over it or something.
Yeah. So
no.
Who did the
It's not really smart.
We got art commissioned for any character art you see. We got commissioned by some awesome people. I can get the name of the person who did the sprites for us if you want, but you can see that I'm wearing Setsuna's costume and Blacklight is in Clouds over there.
Cloud, because favorite game. Even the on our starting soon screen, I'm going to switch over to the starting soon screen real quick.
Germs, that's what I was playing the other night. So yes, I'm already playing that. Yeah, we'll be playing after.
On the one that Merle did for us,
one.
I'm also wearing a soldier inspired, a cloud soldier inspired.
I think she just put me into like a kind of princessy style something, which is fine. I think it's adorable.
I think it's awesome. It looks like a little bit like Peach, but a little bit more fantasy.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I think it's like it's like Peach, but matching my hair a little bit.
Yeah, I like it.
It's got my Palpoo on it. It's cool. Anyway,
I was super happy with the way
it turned out so well. Yeah,
love it. But I really love if you take a look at Cloud's costume, he's actually wearing just a modified version of the soldier costume.
Yeah.
Where he used to be part of this mercenary or part of
this elite
military.
To me.
It's actually, if you look closely, he's definitely wearing like a modified version. He's got like he kind of looks like he went into like one of the junkyards in the slums and like screwed on a couple of things.
Okay.
Like he's got. If you look at his shoulder pads, they've got these weird sort of like they look like screws that have been snipped off. Like there's no head to the screw, but like that's like what his pauldron's made out of. And he's got a couple of modifications like that. I always like that because you can see as you learn more about each character, you'll start to see influences even solely in their costume design. That befits their background.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah,
it makes sense. That's okay. It's okay, Easy and Curtis. Like I already kind of knew that, so don't worry. Vacuous is kind of like empty-headed. Oh, okay, it's good to know.
I would show Broken Cloud if I could find Broken Cloud. I can't find the cloud. I lost it in the move. It's around somewhere.
Broken Cloud?
Yeah, I have this statue of Cloud from Kingdom Hearts, not from Final
Oh,
Fantasy.
okay.
And he's kind of like doing his weird like Batman crouch on like a pile of rocks, and he's got his giant sword with his dumb bandages on it. But
yeah, why do they put bandages on it?
Why do you put bandages on a sword? It doesn't make any sense. I don't know why.
It looks cool, but it's really non-functional.
No, it's really what purpose would that possibly serve? What do you have, a mummy sword?
Yeah. I can tell that you don't care at all about that, and they're totally okay with it.
No, it makes no sense. They added like random hip armor, but like he's got pointy shoes for some goddamn reason.
Because Kingdom Hearts is dumb. Kingdom Hearts is sometimes dumb. I love Kingdom Hearts, but it can totally be dumb.
It can be pretty dumb at times.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they're actually incorporating design elements from another character who isn't represented that you haven't met yet.
Oh,
another
okay.
Final Fantasy VII character.
Okay.
So you'll probably see who I'm talking about, and it makes a little bit more sense when you realize that he kind of got fused with this other character for Kingdom Hearts.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I'm sure I'll figure it out.
Yeah, but I actually already forget what I was saying because I got off on the Cloud bandage sword tangent.
Your statue.
Wait, my statue?
Of Cloud. And he's...
Oh, that's right. Okay, the figurine. That's right.
Yeah.
It came in a whole bunch of little pieces, and you put them together. But like, kind of the way it works is that every piece is like its own is part of the keystone. So like, if one single little part of it is out of place, the entire thing just collapses.
Oh no!
It's just like this part has to be pushing on this part, has to be pushing on this part, has to be pushing on this part.
So you're missing
in order
a
for it to
piece?
stay together. No, I'm missing the whole thing. I don't know where the original challenge was. With my old camera angle, I had part of my desk showing, so it would sit on the desk right next to me.
Oh, okay.
And it would fall apart so often that when it was in that close proximity to me as somebody who gesticulates a lot, I would break it like every other
Oh, that's what you meant by Broken Cloud. Okay. I got you.
That's the Broken Cloud counter. And I broke it 13 times. I said I'd donate, I think it was $5 per time I broke it to charity once I finally get going on my 24-hour live stream of Kingdom Hearts 2.
Yeah.
Which I'm streaming 24 hours of for charity. Probably once I'm gonna plan it for when
1.5 and 2.5 come out on PS4.
Exactly.
And you have, don't worry guys, I gave him the list of which games he needs to play or watch cutscenes for and in which order, and told him about, which ones I think he'd enjoy the most, etc. So he's all set. You'll catch up. It'll be great. I just told my sister about Dream Drop Distance a little bit to convince her to get 2.8. And then to replay the other ones, and with a couple of things I mentioned, she's like, "Oh my god, okay, I want to play it."
So maybe
it's pretty funny.
Maybe after I do a little bit of research, I will want to play 2.8 and Dream Drop Distance or whatever. Well, or that's one of the ones I can watch.
Dream Drop Distance you can play.
You write it down for me.
Yeah, Dream Drop Distance you can play. 2.8 is Dream Drop Distance, and then it's got the chapter with the new engine that they're going to use for Kingdom Hearts 3. We're pretty sure.
Oh, okay.
So there's like there's like it's like only 3. It's just like a little 3-hour segment that you can play through, and it's got the new engine with the new graphics, and it's so smooth and looks really pretty, and I'm very excited.
That's pretty cool.
Because it looks really good and it feels good to play as. So it's like really nice because you're like, oh, good, they're actually working on something that's gonna at least be fun to play.
There you go. Okay, that's good. That's good at least.
Yeah.
I always find it interesting looking at, say, a series like Kingdom Hearts, which is definitely, I would definitely want to call it kiddie, and I don't want to like dismiss it as such, but it's got very accessible themes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For all ages, shall we say. I kind of miss the fact that Final Fantasy used to really like to tackle these sort of adult themes and worlds and settings. Things where we have this dying, dilapidated world, a struggle against an evil corporation, threatening to cut off a crime boss's balls, cross-dressing in order to get the job done.
So you think they didn't, like, because I was going to say your initial themes that you were just mentioning, I'm like, well, they do all that in 15, but I think you just think it wasn't, like, are you saying it just wasn't pushed far enough? Or like...
Exactly. Okay. I think it's not done convincingly. I think it's not done, and I wouldn't expect that from something like Kingdom Hearts. But I wonder why the series has kind of gone off into a direction where it seems to me that things are done in a way that's just a little bit less, almost brash, almost like it's a little bit less like they're trying to be polite to the audience and not show them these like sort of gritty things that would happen in a world gone crazy.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. Like, in 10, with the events that happen, I don't see any need for certain really dark elements to come into play because there's already some really dark stuff. Just shown in a way that doesn't, like...
I'm trying to remember 10 that clearly.
Yeah. It involves, like, just the way that the story progresses, it's not going to be, like, as back alley as, like, 7, because it's not, like, slums and stuff. It's more like... a society that has to go and act a bit more primitive than they used to because if they get too advanced, they'll be destroyed. So, like, they can't get into that. So, but, I mean, it's fine.
10 had a very cool setting where it was, and not that I think that every world has to, like, be in turmoil and be, like, this grungy sort of cyberpunk setting, but 10 had a very interesting setting where it was kind of medieval, but it was that sense of a simpler life is a happier one. Like all of the denizens of that world seem pretty cool with exactly what they have going on.
But they also know they have to be.
That is, and then it brings that into question.
Yeah.
Right, and like then it brings that whole thing into question where it's sort of like a forced piece because of like this sacrifice that needs to be made and all this shit.
Right.
Am I confusing that with another game?
I mean, yeah, that's kind of right. It's every once in a while somebody has to go be like the summoner has to go be sacrificed.
Right.
To keep the peace.
Titus laugh scene, enough said.
Yeah.
It's
I know, right?
It's a little hard, yeah. It's a little hard to take that scene seriously.
Yeah.
That was kind of the point of the scene though, you know, that was I think that's a good marker, kind of what I'm talking about, this divergence away from uncomfortable topics.
Yeah.
You know, where I feel like in 7 they were...
uncomfortable laughter.
yeah, exactly. It's just, okay, this is a little...
Yeah.
I think it's unintentionally uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But 8 kind of does a similar thing. I won't go too far into 8 since you haven't played it. But 8 kind of does a similar thing where it's not really afraid to be gritty. It doesn't do it as well. But there's a war going on, and they're not afraid to show you that war and to show people getting killed and the things that the sacrifices that people have to make in order to continue this war. Whereas in, say, like Final Fantasy 15, I feel like we're only behind these 4 characters, so we never get to see the war firsthand. We only kind of get chased by pockets of robots.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I think that makes sense, but I think because of that viewpoint, at least they do show some of the result of the hardships. They do it in...
That, yeah.
They could have improved how they did it a little bit, but think about Ignis after Chapter 9.
That's really true.
You know,
true.
And it just and it like highly affects the game, and then everything like how Noctis is acting, and then Gladio gets really pissed at him because he's like, "You're being like man up."
True.
You know, so like that whole
true.
relationship dynamic is affected because of what's been going on. So I think it's because it's not introduced that way. It's just like it's like they show that something bad is happening, and then Noctis gets upset because you know Insomnia falls and his dad dies, and then but then, like, they still just go on a road trip. Everything seems fine. Yeah, you know, it's like, it's because of that. That probably is why it doesn't feel like as like, real or heavy for you. It's just, and it doesn't, like, circle back around to the results of that until, like, Chapter 9. So it's probably...
That is really true. That is really true, yeah.
It
might have just been...
Yeah.
It might not even be, like, a conscious decision for game tone, and more so just they didn't have time to explain it.
Yeah, maybe.
And when you don't get to explain it that far, it doesn't really seem as real, so it doesn't feel as impactful.
Yeah. So, like, there's definitely elements in there that they included. It just might have been, like, so late in plot that it's harder to... Or that you don't remember it as well. Or, like, the feel seems so much lighter than you feel like it should have or something, you know.
Yeah. I would say so. Yeah. And I don't know. I guess I get...
Oh, no, I haven't, Andy. Now I can watch the remake trailer. Sorry, I'm really excited. Okay.
That is true, yeah. Oh, the remake trailer actually looks kind of promising. Let's actually talk about the remake a little bit.
I've heard it's going to be more like 15, right? And it's also going to be released in chapters.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to be really giant chapters. And I'm really, like... confused.
I hope I think they could do it in giant chapters, because I think basically the entire section that you've played so far, minus maybe the flashback scene,
it's like
could
a
be
game.
like one chapter.
Right? Yeah, that's what we're thinking. That's what we're thinking.
That could easily be a major chapter. What's hard to decide, or what's hard to predict rather, is where they're going to break it up from there on out, because how long the remainder of the story is and what order things kind of happen in kind of depends on which route you take.
Oh,
well, I guess maybe not so much the order, but there's a lot of side quests you can do in between.
Right. So they just have to decide which side quest to put in where, maybe.
Right, because my whole point is you can't really take the game and say, like, the game's this long, we're going to separate it to this, and this, and just separate out like kind of even chunks.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because the pacing of the game in the original, you'll see as you go on, kind of depends on when you want to stop doing side quests.
Yeah.
Basically.
Okay.
You have a lot of freedom in that way.
Yeah.
But about the remake scene, it's definitely going to be more like Final Fantasy 15 or Kingdom Hearts, where it's got kind of a live action combat, really pretty graphics, all that stuff. And that's good for getting people into the game, because
it's just it might ruin their experience of playing the original. But that's just the name of the game, man.
I worry that when they say that is the name of the game, right? Their remake, they come out and say they want new generations to experience Final Fantasy VII. They just want to sell the game. They don't care about that. I really don't think
they want to experience it in the story. Like, they want them to experience the story, but in a new way that they're going to tell that yes, we'll make money, but it's not going to be them experiencing the original 7.
No,
the only
it's
way
not.
to experience the original 7 is to play the original 7.
Right, exactly.
So
I think that even if you replace the combat system and try to keep the story the same, I still think they're about to take a lot of liberties with the story.
Yeah, most likely. And so it's probably going to be like 7. The remake of 7 will probably feel more like Final Fantasy 16 with a recycled story rather than 7. You know?
Pretty much, I can see that.
It could still be really fun, but I know this being your favorite game, I can see like somebody like you having a lot of problems with it, because that's what I'm saying. Your expectations are based on a game that you love, and you think it's great for what it is. So the fact that they're changing the game I think that's not going to sit well with you.
I think you're right, because they already are looking to be changing a lot, and on top of that, this is already the game to which I hold every other game.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's like and if they're remaking that, and it's going to be different. Just changing anything that you hold safe and close to your heart is going to not be good in your eyes.
No person is ever going to be like, if this was your game growing up, there's no way that they're ever going to like perfectly nail it, right?
Yeah, so
because everybody has their own version of what makes the game great.
If they remastered Paper Mario, I'd be super happy. If they remade it and changed the battle style, I'd be really pissed.
Right, exactly. So I think what a lot of us wanted at the end of the day was a remaster, not a remake.
Yeah. So I wonder why they chose. I mean, you think it's just to get more people to buy the game?
I maybe, I guess so, because that really feels like the direction that Square Enix is headed in. I think Square Enix just wants to be a AAA studio, and AAA studios don't make turn-based games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but they're fun.
That's sad to think about.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I had somebody say that as opposed to, like, they don't care about turn-based. I've had people come in and say they don't like turn-based in general. So they don't like older Final Fantasy games. And then I've had people come in. I had one person come in and say they don't like random encounters.
That's understandable, too.
Yeah.
That's understandable, too.
Understand.
Like, if that's what you grew up with.
I just don't hear people make any complaints about that very often. Because, like, I guess people just grow up dealing with it. I don't know. But I think
most people can get behind it if you just do it correctly. Even if you want to get rid of the randomness, even if you want. If Roxas in chat asked a question, does the combat? Yo, thanks, Jewish Hobo. Thank you for the sub with Twitch Prime. Welcome to Raccoon City.
Yeah, Hobo, let's go.
Sorry, 1 second. Thanks so much, Jewish Hobo. He asked if the combat really affects the way the story is told.
Yeah.
I personally think no. I think that the combat, the only time the combat really tells a story is during the flashback. They don't really bring that up too often. It impacts a little bit, and all of that could be reworked into a real-time combat system. You could just add Sephiroth fighting alongside you to get the same effect, showing how powerful he is.
Yeah, and then he can just do it, like, he'll just use a similar spell, and it'll just, like...
Right, they could translate a lot of the story that they told, what little story they told through the turn-based combat system in a real-time combat setting. I truly believe that. But I'm not really concerned about the combat system personally. That's not why I think that it's gonna get the story wrong.
You think they're gonna fuck with the story just outside of that?
Guaranteed. And I can tell you why, is because they've already attributed voice actors. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's good. Thank you for the 9 months of Ravenous Up Baby. Awesome. Thank you. Butt baby. Oh my god.
Oh god. That's not gonna come out right.
I touched the butt 9 months ago, and now there's a butt baby. That's wrong.
That's how it works. That is how it works.
Okay. Anyway.
I think people have been saying they want a remake. I think that we've all been saying we want a remake, but we actually want a remaster because we want people to experience the game as we experienced it as kids, but kind of update it for the graphics snobs.
For the graphics snobs, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Right? We think it's a shame that there are graphics snobs. That doesn't mean that they shouldn't have good games to play.
Right.
So that's personally what I wanted all this time, but I might have been saying remake. But anyway, the reason I think that they have 100% messed with the story is because they've already attributed voice actors and credited voice actors in the cast for characters that didn't exist in the original game that were introduced in prequels and sequels.
Oh.
Don't like it. I don't like it at all. I'm like enough of a purist for this game that because of the fact that none of the entries in the series, aside from maybe Advent Children, in the compilation of Final Fantasy VII specifically, not in Final Fantasy as a whole, but nothing in Final Fantasy VII as a franchise has come out while Sakaguchi was still working at Square Enix, the creator of the series and the creator of Final Fantasy VII. And like this guy's influence, Sakaguchi is a game making genius, or what? I don't know. He's like working on mobile games now for some reason, but for example, one of the major themes that he wanted to put into 7, and you can definitely already pick up on this, so I hope that this isn't a big spoiler or anything, but is the theme of loss. And kind of think about that as it goes in. So far, we've seen Era's lost her mother, Tifa and Cloud lost their hometown,
and their Barrett
has hinted at great loss, but hasn't explained what it is yet.
Right. Well, we know Marlene, but we don't know anything about who Marlene's mom is.
Right. Like who is Marlene? You'll definitely learn about that. And the reason for that was Sakaguchi started creating 7 right after his mother had died, and he wanted to create a story about loss and about how loss can affect you and change your motivations, almost define your motivations. Right,
which is really obvious with Cloud so far, because Cloud's like,
right.
JK, I'll help you.
Right, and also the theme that. All right, I'm not gonna go. I'm sorry, interrupting myself again to avoid spoilers for Kung Fu.
Also, one sec, Devil's Reject. Thank you so much. Welcome to the fruit basket. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, man. You're awesome. Enjoy your emotes. You got Discord.
But what? And Discord. But what I was gonna say is that's how you could see Sakaguchi's influence in creating the game. Like I don't know. I don't understand how anybody else can get into the mindset of the guy who originally created the game and kind of tell and extrapolate from there what he would have wanted to do when this is so clearly such a personal project to him, and that's a real shame. Because ever since they've just been adding these random characters that try to replicate what makes the ones from the original game great. Jojoba, thanks so much for the bits as well. Right, that's what I'm saying is Sakaguchi doesn't work on the remake. It's now in the hands of a completely different person who didn't have this influence, like I said, Sakaguchi's inspiration for creating the game in the first place, losing his mother. Wait, you're saying that it was Katase? Either way, I'm 90% sure it was Sakaguchi. Roxas, thanks for the bits as well. I just think that everything that comes afterwards should be considered fan fiction.
Okay.
That's kind of an extreme example, or maybe an extreme opinion.
I understand.
But it just doesn't. Yeah. Katase is the one who is making. Are you sure? I must have my story mixed up then. I'm not going to Google it right now, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm gonna look into that. I could be wrong, Andy. Though I will admit that there's always a chance that I have my history wrong.
So Andy says Andy thinks that the 7 remake is better as a remake than a remaster because Oh, because I'll always have the original.
Because we'll always have. I mean, that is one argument, right? Is that it's better to have the remake do things differently, because that way we have basically two versions, and that there's more choice for people to decide.
Well, anybody who's played the original will like the original. Maybe for someone, I know I don't want to like seem like I'm above it, but like maybe because I'm playing this now, and then I'll get to play the other one so close to when I played this one, and I didn't grow up with it. I'm not gonna have it be like as deeply rooted into my history of gaming, and so I might be able to give them a more unbiased comparison potentially.
For sure. Because obviously I'm biased as hell.
Right, exactly. So I might be able to kind of try to come in and even out the playing field, and like give, since it could be slightly more unbiased, it'll be a little biased because I'm playing this first. But if if I have the opportunity to try and experience both for the first time within a relatively close time period, I might be able to give really see if they do a good job or not. I don't know.
Right. And I guess the reason that a lot of us sort of like hardcore old school fans are disappointed at what we're seeing from the remake so far. I actually don't know that I'm not totally alone on this. Some people have said they're with me, some people have said they're excited. And some people definitely like the characters that come from the prequels and sequels. Some people are totally into that. I guess one of the major issues I'm having is, like I said, it's hard to get people to play this game. It's hard to get people to share in the experience, because those who missed it kind of write it off as it being gone forever. So when we hear that there's a remake coming, we hear that they're re-releasing it and making it prettier, we hope that this new product is going to capture the original greatness, so that we can discuss it with our newfound co-fans, our newfound fellow fans.
But it might be so different that you can't, if it's not the same game, you don't have anything to discuss. It'll just be what are the differences?
I personally think what's going to happen, and what my prediction is that the release is not going to be all that great for the consumers. And the reason I say that is because they're making it episodic. I think it's going to be hard to follow. I think it's going to be annoying and expensive to play. Okay. I think that's going to taint the average consumer's view of Final Fantasy VII if it's their first experience.
Well, then all you have to do is say, go get it on the PlayStation Store for $15 and just play it. The original.
Hey, PlayStation Store,
Tweaks.
Exactly. Yeah, the nice thing is that you can always go back and play the original. I think what might also happen is that people might play the remake, get into the first episode and be like, oh, that's pretty interesting, I wonder what happens next, and then go back and play the original.
Maybe.
And that might be a gateway to people playing more of the original. So that's a good thing.
Hopefully. Yeah, maybe. It might be that way. Should encompass the whole entire story, including side games. Yeah, I mean, I agree, Phil. It's just we don't know if they're going to do it or not.
No, by the way, I'm not saying that Sakaguchi directed it. He did produce Final Fantasy VII. He was also story planner. This was his story.
Yeah.
How much do I think each episode is going to cost? I'm going to guess $40.
40. Okay.
Oh, Andy says they're planned to be full priced.
Oh my god. So it would be at least $180 to play the game.
Mm-hmm. And I'm just saying.
That's so dumb.
Episodic release means they're working on scheduled releases, which means any sort of hammering out, any sort of refinery that needs to be done in the game isn't going to be done.
Yeah.
It's just not going to be done. We already saw what happens when you put Final Fantasy 15 on a strict schedule. Yeah. The game's incomplete, and they're going to patch it later.
Yeah.
They are supposed to be full length, but keep in mind what a full length game means in this day and age. A full length game could be as short as 6 hours, and people charge $60 for 6 hour single player games.
Yeah, but
especially companies like Square Enix.
Yeah, but still,
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I know, but I already see people in chat who seem to love 7, and they're like, "Nope, I'm not gonna buy it. Fuck that shit."
Oh well, people in my chat, are you buying this game? Are you buying it? Are you buying the remake or no? Are you sticking to the original? Mm-hmm. I personally, I'm buying it either way. I have to see what they do. This is just, as much as I hate all the entries in the series, I've played almost all of them.
Well, the thing, I mean, it will cost around $200 to play all of it if they're releasing stuff episodically at full price, Phil. So it's going to be that expensive. That's the thing.
If it's episodic at full price, $60 each, you're going to end up paying minimum. If it's 3 episodes, that is already way too much to play a game. $180 is way too much to play one full story, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Considering they were able to completely easily put the entire story of Final Fantasy VII in its original launch into one game that they retailed for full price. It wasn't even like it was a pretty long game for the time, but it's definitely not like a long game compared to like the shit that's available now.
Yeah.
You can buy Minecraft for $10 and get like infinite value, play it forever and ever.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I think in the current market, I don't know how these companies get away with selling such short games for so much.
Yeah, I agree with that. So like even if this does encompass like a lot of material, it's still only going to be worth up to a certain amount. I could see like $100 total if you get 3 full games worth of play or something, you know, instead of anything more than that. It's just no. Yeah, I would rather just wait longer and just, you know what? I'd rather wait longer and then have it be all released at once so that they'll freaking get on the ball for Kingdom Hearts 3 and put that out sooner. I just want Kingdom Hearts 3.
Kingdom Hearts 3 is... haven't they put a date on that?
No.
That's further along in development than the remake, I think. That's going to be out before even the first episode of the remake, I think.
I don't know. Guys, you know which one's going to come out first? The first episode or...
Don't be Zach Kung
3?
Fu.
Everybody wants 3, and we've been waiting for a really long time.
Everybody wants 3?
Everybody
does want 3.
Everybody wants Kingdom Hearts 3, and it's just not happening.
I'm sorry, Kingdom Hearts fans.
Somebody like a month ago told me that apparently they hadn't even finished building some of the worlds yet, and I was like, no!
Oh, rip. I'd say like everybody's getting it. Everybody's getting into the Final Fantasy. Everybody in my chat seems like they're gonna reluctantly buy it. You know, like everybody like. Some people were looking into it.
And you and I are gonna try to get codes.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely trying to get a code. That shit's gonna be expensive.
Yeah. For myself.
I just hope I haven't badmouthed Square Enix to the point that they don't give codes to me by the time it comes out.
Yeah, well, clearly,
they're very critical.
Well, you're being critical in a way that's understandable for such a huge fan of a product they have put out in the past. So you're saying that you're saying Final Fantasy VII is your favorite game. So clearly you like some of the work that Square has done, and like you've been playing through their games, and you have some, like, you know when to pick up on things that they do well. Like no,
I'm totally kidding. I've actually talked to our rep at Square Enix and been like, hey, I kind of shit on Final Fantasy 15. Is that okay? And she was like, no, you've been fair. You weren't like, I like the fact that they will accept criticism and not, like there wasn't any expectation for me to like talk the game up.
Yeah, you're not like, this game sucks and I hate it for no reason.
No, exactly. It's like it's not like I'm shitting on the game excessively. I'm just stating an opinion, and they certainly don't require me to only speak well of the game. You're allowed to be honest.
I think you and I, when we've talked about them, like when we talked about 15, I think we've both, whenever criticism has come up, we've at least tried to think of solutions for it as well. So it's because like we obviously want them to succeed.
Yeah, right, exactly. You just can't have that attitude that like you're going in wanting to hate it.
Yeah, that's sad. That's really sad.
Exactly.
Yeah. The only time you want to do that is when you play like Sonic 06 and you know it's a bad game, and then it makes it funny to play
There's
through.
no defending Sega. Like, there's no defending that entire franchise. As sad as I get about the state of Final Fantasy 15 compared to the state of Final Fantasy compared to what it used to be, at least it's not Sonic. But
makes me sad, but I agree. See, I think the smartest thing that Sega has done with Sonic recently is they're like re-releasing some of the older games on the Switch in like a compilation. Like they're remaking some of the older Sonic games and then like adding new levels for older games and then putting that out as a game. And I'm like, that's actually smart. Because people liked that. Maybe they actually are noticing that. Maybe.
Yeah, no, seriously. The Sonic Generations is really good. Colors is really good. Those are like return to form for Sonic.
I've heard people
those are
like,
going back to what makes it good.
People like Colors, Heroes, Generations. I personally loved SA2 for all of its glorious, like, good elements and absolutely terrible elements. It's mostly the cutscenes that were terrible. The gameplay, like...
It's so bad.
It's so funny, though. No. It's so funny, and it's so much fun to quote. And that's part of why I love the game, is because it's not, like, great. But it's still good in comparison to a game like Sonic 06. When they were...
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. And, like, could Sonic just... Speaking about world building for a second, I know it's not as critical in platformers as it is in RPGs, but why does Sonic walk around with normal ass people? That's the weirdest decision they've ever made. Like to just put Sonic in a world the world.
You know what's weirder? When Mario walks around real people. Like they showed in Odyssey, and I'm like, that's weird. What? Why does Mario look different than the people then? If that's gonna be the case, I know, right? Weird to me.
Is he deformed? Yeah. But with Odyssey, he also still has like the cartoon world that he goes off to like very clearly not the real world too. And then
there's like one human world, and I'm like, this is wrong. It's wrong. It's just weird. It's weird to me.
It's weird and it's off-putting to see these these cartoonish, weird, exaggerated characters walking alongside normally proportioned human beings
that are still not very well done in CGI.
Exactly, and in Sonic 06, it's just always been like it. I can't. No, go ahead.
I was saying, thank you so much, Leaf. For the 4 months. Oh, I will check. Okay, oh my god, you're awesome. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Original Sonic concept art even had a human love interest. Well, you know what? In that case, then, if that's true, then they lucked out that they weren't able to implement that until they're lucky that they got a couple of good games in before they fucked up and started putting in real people because it's creepy.
Well, they put in real people just to show what the planet was like in Sonic Adventure and SA2. And it's weird, but it's okay because you don't really interact with them much. It's mostly in Sonic 06 when they try to then put in the real human love interest. It's raw. I hate it. It's raw. I hate it.
It's gross.
At least,
it's gross.
You know what? I was like, he should have let Elise go down in flames on the ship. She should have just burst into flames, set her on fire.
And she has a weird ass face because none of the characters look quite right.
I hate it. I hated it.
It's creepy.
That was my least favorite part of the game.
It's creepy.
And that's saying a lot because it was Sonic 06. And what I will say about that game, and the parallel it has to 15 is that it was another game that was supposed to be really full and really well done and a really good homage to Sonic games and being here's our new thing. It's really badass, and then was pushed out unfinished. And that's
totally
part of what made it so bad. The fact that Elise is in it makes it bad to begin with, but I mean, the rest of it seemed like it could have actually been pretty fun if they just. But along with Ilya, Ilya can also just die in a fire. She should have left her. I just find it
really hard to believe that nobody at any point in Sonic Adventure, Sonic Adventure 2, or Sonic 06 or whatever, nobody none of these people you run up and talk to is just holy shit, a talking hedgehog.
Why are you
everyone else is just normal.
What are you doing? Well, I mean, I think it's in a world I know it's a little different, but in Paper Mario, when we were talking about things that are seem weird or unbelievable, one of my favorite things about the Paper Mario series is that everyone's everybody knows Mario already, so you don't have to build his backstory. They're oh, you're that famous guy, do everything for me. And that's where the humor comes from it, and then you realize you don't need a backstory because you're just building on something that already exists. And so it's really funny because they're able to make fun of themselves.
They turn that on its head.
So
and they kind of do that with Sonic too.
So I'm guessing that's kind of with Sonic, they kind of already have the background of oh, we all know who Sonic is because he saved the world before.
Right, he's kind of a local hero.
Yeah.
I've just always found it a little because in the original Sonics, what are you doing? The only human being that you really interact with is the evil Dr. Robotnik, and you're kind of just out in the woods rescuing your animal friends. Because whenever you blow up the robots, bunnies come out. That kind of stuff.
And then something's there's a world of people in the middle of all this. Because
the one world build that people really liked in Sonic was that Saturday morning cartoon that they had where it was him and all of his forest pals leading this rebellion against a world where Dr. Robotnik had already won. Okay. He was already an evil dictator.
Right.
But then when it turns out that he's just a random psycho asshole in a regular ass real world, something very similar real world, because it's just weird to me that we have all these talking, superpowered anthropomorphic animals, but for some reason, everyone else is just some dude in a business suit waiting to go to work on the train.
Yeah.
That's really weird to me.
Yeah.
That's very bizarre.
Yeah. It was around the time where I was getting into games, so I accepted it for what it was in Sonic, in Sonic Adventure and SA2. I just accepted it. That's why it doesn't bother me as much because I came in around that time, and that's what I'm
glad that everybody else is equally creeped out about Mario Odyssey.
Yeah, I mean, it's most of Mario Odyssey looks beautiful and looks super fun, and I'm excited for it. But it's literally only him in the city with people. I'm why do you have two different types of people?
I know. Yeah, exactly.
You can't go realistic and cartoony in the same space and have it feel normal. It's like a weird version of like the Uncanny Valley in a way that I'm not used to, because I'm like, this, you're kind of introducing Uncanny Valley, but then you still have cartoon Mario. I don't understand what I'm supposed to feel.
Right.
Like, what am I supposed to feel?
Yeah, no, it's definitely like the fact that they're right next to Mario somehow makes the real people look even less real, and it makes Mario look really out of place.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. Yeah. Like their animations look terrible compared to him, because Mario, the way that his kind of like cartoony self is built, like feels very believable, and like that's
there's
like
weight to his
essence.
Footsteps.
Yeah. Exactly. And also like his ability to like do all of his weird jumpy things that are totally unrealistic. But that's in the Mario universe. It's totally acceptable. Right. But if he's in a universe of people who are not built to act like that, like what? I don't know. Everything's wrong. Like physics are going to just mess up. I think the world is going to explode.
I think Odyssey is gonna be. I like how far we've gotten off of Final Fantasy.
Yeah,
I don't mind.
Remember when we were talking about Final Fantasy VII?
Yeah, remember Final Fantasy? No, but I don't mind. But one thing I really like about Odyssey is, I shouldn't say I like about it. One thing that I'm hoping for Odyssey, I should say, is that I personally think that when he's in like the real people world, he's like in another universe, and they're gonna kind of explain that he's like in a parallel dimension. Because I think the Odyssey, that part of the title. Like, an Odyssey is what? Like a really grand adventure, right?
Yeah. That's what Andy's actually literally just posted as well. Think of it like the Odyssey or Gulliver's Travels. Yeah, that's true.
I think his travels take him to the real world, and he's like out of the Mushroom Kingdom.
Yeah. Okay, I just hope that they do it right. It weirded me out.
I think that if they're going to do it justice in the game, I think they kind of messed up with the trailer.
As long as they don't make it anything similar to Sonic 06 and Elise, I'm fine. That's fine. Like,
let's hope.
I don't keep hate or rage toward anybody in real life, even if I don't agree with somebody or don't like something that they do. Eventually, like, I don't hold on to hate, but with video game characters, I have no trouble just hating on them forever. Like. Have you played Twilight Princess?
Oh, yeah.
Ilia sucks. Ilia, she's the worst. She's the worst. I hate her.
Is she the love interest?
Yeah, I hate her.
Yeah.
She's the absolute
she's pretty
worst.
bad.
She's like so self-entitled. And I can talk about that later. But, or not on a talk show about RPGs. But, yeah, I just do that with some characters. So I don't have anybody like that in 7, which is good. It means they're not creating a terrible character.
I'm trying to think if there's anybody that you will probably hate.
If I do, you'll know.
Yeah. I think that there are characters that might get on your nerves, but I think if you play through everything, you end up kind of liking everyone.
Yeah, I mean, it's the way that they're developing characters, like we talked about earlier, reminds me of like Ghibli, where it's that kind of realism, where it's like they can be kind of annoying. Like Aerith can seem a little self-entitled, or Barrett can seem a little too hard-headed. But then at the same time, at least there's something to even them out. Like characters like Ilia and Elise are just nothing can balance them out. Nothing about their characters. Ilia's like, oh, I feel bad, and I'm like, it's too late. You already just destroyed your personality for me. It's way too late. Yeah.
It's also a little hard when the characters they're like Link he's a silent character. How do you get him to, when you have both characters speaking, you can ping pong dialogue off of each other. You can have this back and forth, and that really helps you establish both of their personalities in really cool ways, because it shows their response to stimulus.
Right. Oh yeah.
Whereas she's just kind of Ilia, she's just kind of do whatever she wants, because she's like, hey, Link, do you think that's a good idea? And he's like, she's like, all right, I'm going to go do that.
No, you can clearly see his reaction is like surprise and shock, like, you're taking my horse? He's like, yeah, pretty much. Like, you
and she's like, yes, Link, okay.
She's like, oh no, she gets mad at him, and she takes his horse and then locks him out of the paddock, where she's like, I'm going to take her because she's hurt and you don't take good care of her. And Epona's like, I like Link much better than you, so like leave me alone.
Yeah. Well,
it's fine. It's fine. We just
no, you will not see that in Final Fantasy VII, because it is one of the best written games of all time, in my opinion, and especially the way that they do characters and their interactions.
Yeah.
You will see by playing this game why I'm so picky about characters being justified.
Yeah.
This game does it better than anybody
It's
else.
doing a good job. Yeah, it's doing a good job so far, which is good. It means that I'm like satisfied with the development I'm seeing of the people that I'm meeting so far.
Yes.
Yeah, any character that hasn't had a lot of development, they'll either go into that later in the game, I believe, or they're NPC ish. Like, so that they're, like, done, and I don't really care anymore. Like, even at the beginning when they showed, like, Biggs and Wedge and Jesse and stuff, like, if you talk to them, they give you enough background to show, like, kind of their role in the group, and then it makes them a bit more endearing and a bit more emotional when, you know, the play falls.
Yep. Yeah, definitely.
Because I, like, talked to Jesse about the map, and I talked to, I think it was Wedge, about, like, how he feels about being in the group and how he wishes he could help out, and then he, like...
Yep.
Basically, like, right before he dies, he's like, I'm sorry, I couldn't do anything. And I'm like, don't say that!
Don't say no, you weren't useless, even though you were a little bit.
Yeah, I know, but it's so sad.
The death of Avalanche, of the Avalanche members, aside from Barrett and Tifa, they end up being, in my opinion, they get sadder the more you play the game. Once you replay it.
Yeah.
Because they kind of get remembered throughout the rest of the game in memory, and you know, they're sort of these characters that never got to be.
Yeah,
they were
exactly.
Very intentionally introduction characters that get killed off.
Yeah. Yeah, you can kind of tell because they didn't do anything else. Like since you couldn't play as them, I thought that they wouldn't stay in the group for some reason.
Yeah.
And then I figured out why.
Yeah, then you know.
Yeah.
Also the fact that Cloud is kind of the point of view of the story, and he's kind of just entering this group. He's only been on like 2 missions with these guys. He doesn't really know them all that well.
Right.
And for the most part, they seem to be kind of slightly bumbling idiots, just a little bit. And he doesn't really have much attachment to them. So when the plate does fall, you don't really have that much attachment to them either, because you're kind of in Cloud's. But like, it sucks, you know. It sucks that it happens.
Yeah.
They were on the good side. They were our comrades.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not like crushing.
Right.
It's not like a crushing death.
Yeah. I can see
I personally like that.
Yeah. I think it was a good move because it solidifies like Barrett's reasoning for trying to keep going.
Yes, big time. Because all of a sudden he doesn't have what he was doing. He had a whole thing going on.
Then he's like, we're reforming Avalanche, and it includes all you people, even if you didn't say you wanted to be in it.
Guess what, guys? New club. Yeah. We just got some openings for some new members.
It was crushing. Oh my God, Sultan. Oh, that pun is so sad. He said it was crushing for them.
Oh, it's a crushing defeat. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Rip.
Oh no.
Sack Jack Attack. How's it going, man? And Roxas asked, how would you feel if they made Cloud a silent protagonist in Final Fantasy VII? I think the game wouldn't work. The game wouldn't work that way.
Well, right, because they're showing just the way that they've introduced his dialogue. Like, how would we get the background for him and Sephiroth if we didn't hear from him? You know, it's like we'd have to have somebody else talk about it, and then it wouldn't feel like we were pushed to find this story so much. It would just be like hand-fed to us. Whereas hearing it from Cloud and then being forced to play in the flashback and stuff, you get kind of... I mean, you could be forced to play in the flashback, but then you'd still have to, like... You'd still only be getting dialogue from one side. And, like, I've played enough games growing up where I did have a silent protagonist, where this is actually kind of interesting to not have one, because, like, Chrono doesn't talk, Link doesn't talk, Mario doesn't talk,
He goes, waha!
Yeah, and Link goes, wah! Yeah, so
no, definitely.
It's nice to have the protagonist that actually does talk, and then you actually get options to be really mean to people sometimes.
Oh yeah, he can be a dick if you want him to be.
Oh my God, he can be such a dick. Like, shut up, this doesn't matter. Like, they present options that essentially are like phrased like that.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, he's not super nice.
Yeah.
But at the same time, him being a silent protagonist, they would have had to write the story completely differently.
Yeah, it would have to be a different story.
He serves as a narrator for most of the game, actually. So he talks, I think, more than anyone else in the game.
Yeah. Jesse's in Kingdom Hearts 2?
Lines of dialogue.
What?
Is she?
Jesse's a shopkeeper in Radiant Garden? Really?
No kidding.
Are you serious?
Hold on.
Yeah!
Jesse in Kingdom Hearts 2.
If you find a picture, send it to me. Now I know! That's cool! See, the thing about Titus's character in 10, and maybe we should just play that game later this year so we can talk about it more. Play 10.
I would love to. I would love to replay 10. I've been meaning to revisit 10 for a long time.
I can replay it. I'm cool with that. I played last year.
See, I played Final Fantasy X after I was out of the age where like everything large and grand was amazing to me,
Okay.
and I could have been really swept away by the world. See, I was a teenager by then, and therefore everything was stupid, and I hated it.
Okay.
So I
was that the last time you played
bit,
it?
Yeah, the last time I played 10, I was like 15 or 16.
Oh,
yeah.
I played last year. Let's go. We'll play it again,
Let's
guys.
go. Yeah, we're gonna have to replay that one. I'm glad that you're down to replay it again so soon.
Oh yeah. Guess
but-
she's Twilight Town. Oh, Twilight Town. Okay.
Twilight Town. I couldn't find a picture of her on Google
So
Images.
10 was the first one that I played, you guys. So it's going to be cool to go back and see that. Yeah.
There you go.
So I think Titus, I mean, I'll just say quickly, I guess. Like, so Titus with his character,
Mm-hmm.
he talks a lot, but that plays along with, like, the immaturity of his character. And it forces you to, like, at least, like, he's asking the questions that you need to ask in order to understand some story. And then you see, like, how it, like, it's showing his growth throughout because he kind of
things are flipped a little bit. He's kind of the tourist. He's not really the narrator.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
the one being narrated to.
So it's no. I mean, he talks about like this is my story. So it's his story, but it's showing how he's like, oh my god, we're.
Oh yeah, that is true.
Yeah, no. But
it's been way too long.
But
for
instead
me.
of him knowing what's going on, that's where it's opposite. It's his story, but he's like, I don't know what's going on. So he's just really immature. So he's like going with all of these really kind of naive viewpoints on life, and he continually questions why they don't work in certain situations. He's like, why can't we just do this? Why isn't it this easy? Why don't we just go over here? Like, let's just fight it out. And then the rest of his group is like, stop being an idiot. This is somehow like sometimes adults have to do like this. And then he starts going like, oh, I understand. Or like, oh. Or when
and there's got to be something in the story that challenges the character's viewpoint in order to help them mature, in order to help them grow in some way.
Right. So Cloud is maturing, I think, in 7 in a different way because he's like trying.
Definitely will.
So Titus doesn't even act mature, and then
Cloud
he like
tries to.
Right, and Cloud's trying to, but now like instead of trying to act mature, like when he matures, I feel like he'll continue to open up as a character instead of like be stoically mature in a weird way. I don't know. We'll see.
Interesting. That's all I'll say.
I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't know, or maybe not.
Maybe.
That's
maybe not.
Yeah, or maybe he won't open up as much. Maybe he'll just get more stoic. But I still feel like we'll see his development in. It's just two different ways of showing it.
It's how do you mature a character that thinks he knows everything? You have to challenge.
Yeah, so it's okay, there you go. So it's a character who thinks he knows everything versus Titus who obviously knows nothing.
He doesn't. Titus, to his credit, doesn't front like he knows shit.
Yeah, that's
he doesn't. Yeah. You know, he's kind of just.
That's why people don't really like him for a while. Like, he's not my favorite character by far.
He's like a poorly trained puppy. He's
But
he just runs around doing whatever.
The way the story focuses around him because of that makes it a bit more interesting because you're like dealing with somebody who you're like, oh my god, this kid, can you not? It creates, it's going to create more conflict and it's going to show why the elements of this world that would function a bit more normally without him don't,
Right, definitely.
So you'll see that.
Totally.
Okay, so that's Jessie? She's in a totally different outfit. How do we know that's her, though? How do you know that's her?
Could be from like concept art. A lot of times they're like labeled even if they don't end up named in the game.
Okay. Did you see the picture? Andy sent me that. There you go.
You guys are crazy. Wait, Biggs and Wedge are in there too. Well, but which Biggs and Wedge? Biggs and Wedge are in every Final Fantasy.
Titus knows nothing.
Almost.
Titus knows about as much as Jon Snow.
Yes, absolutely nothing. Not a damn thing.
There you go.
That is entirely correct.
She has the name in the game? Oh, that's cool. Okay, cool.
Well, so what do you guys think of is Cloud?
Is Cloud what?
I'm trying to, you know what? I really want to ask this question of what chat thinks about Cloud, but I just don't think that they can answer it without getting spoilery. I just don't think that there's any way to phrase that.
Everybody can jump in Blacklight's chat and answer it, but then you can't talk about it.
Right, exactly. That's why I can't ask, because I wouldn't be able to discuss any of the answers with you.
Yeah.
So, because, okay, we will keep it spoiler free. I will just say that Cloud is a very uniquely dynamic character.
Cool. Okay. Yeah.
Very uniquely dynamic.
Yeah.
I don't think that his kind of story has been done since.
I'm interested to see, because you've seen stoic characters. I'm
Sure.
interested to see how they're going to develop him. because
yes, definitely.
it's like some of the characters in the party I already know. I've heard stories like theirs before, like with Barrett and even with Red. Aerith's already kind of been explained, and I'm like, that's cool. Basically, like the innocent who is necessary power. You know, it's, I don't know, it reminds me like a little bit of Yuna in a way. But like I can kind of guess a lot of these stories. Tifa, I want to learn a bit more about. Obviously, I want to learn more about like Red and Barrett, but again, like I will, when I learn about their kind of histories, I think it'll be a case where like I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense, that fits. But with Cloud, I'm like, learning more about him, and he's fitting a little bit of a stereotype, but I think there's enough intrigue to maybe be a little different. I don't know. We'll see.
You can definitely see how he gets to be the standoffish, sort of aloof guy that he is.
Yeah.
It's like it's suffering that kind of trauma early on, and kind of having everything that you believe. Remember, he kind of idolized Shinra and that they had done.
Yeah.
And then he goes off there, and then Shinra and his childhood hero basically wipe out his whole town.
Right.
And then he ends up fighting against them. So he's just at a young age, at the age of, I think he's 21 in the game, we said, right?
Yes. And 16 is when...
age,
wait, 16 is when Sephiroth went bad?
I think it was 16.
Yeah,
it was,
16.
5 years ago it's supposed to be.
So then what happens? Don't answer, guys. But then there's a 5-year period between when Sephiroth goes bad and when Cloud's, like, working with Avalanche. So, like, what the fuck happens between then? Yeah.
That you'll find out.
Oh, okay. I didn't even think about that.
There has been a gap.
Yeah.
There has been a gap in time, pretty big lapse in time.
Okay.
And it's personally Evo Manny wants to know if you should wait for the FF7 remake. I personally say go and play the original.
Play the original. As long as you're not a graphics snob, which please don't be a graphics snob. Please don't. Like, the graphics are bad, laugh at it, and then you'll get used to it. That's the thing. You can, I think that their character models are hilarious. And whenever Barrett shoots something, he just like goes like this, and you don't see anything happen.
Nothing's happening. He just goes.
You just see an arm vibrating, and I'm like, okay, nothing's like breaking. You don't see any bullets coming out. Like, it's really funny. So like that's funny, but then I get over it. Like I can focus on the story outside of that, you know.
Notice Barrett has really bad trigger discipline with his daughter. He'll hold her on his shoulder and have his gun pointing at her head because she's sitting like right here, and his gun arm is just like at her face, and he's just like, my little girl. You don't do that with a kid. You don't pick up a kid with a gun. You do either get a replacement arm or use one hand.
Yeah, I'll be playing this like right after, and so will Blacklight. So he'll be starting from the beginning, but he knows the game, and I will be continuing from outside of Midgar, and I don't know the game.
Yeah, but also try to appreciate what these even limited graphics brought to us at the time it came out. You know, I think that Kung Fu is able to appreciate it as somebody who's playing for the first time.
Yeah.
But for people who were playing it back then, it was actually nice, despite the fact that these characters were always blocky and weird, because we're coming from old RPGs, from the sprite-based RPGs, where animation was very limited.
Right. All
the characters sort of share this, like in Final Fantasy, like 4 through 6, they all have the same reaction they do all the time, where they jump up and go and then like sweat drops come out. They all do that same shocked expression, but that's limited, and every character has the same one. Final Fantasy VII going 3D allowed even limited allowed them to sort of add these unique mannerisms to their character.
Right.
All of a sudden they came to life because they had more physical personality.
Yeah, I can so see that. Yep. Yeah, I think
Cloud
actually
has this cocky D-bag way, he flips his hair. Barrett likes to pound his chest to show aggression.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Like, everybody has their little things that bring them to life.
I think actually one of the hardest things in terms of graphics differences for me is the models on the background. The background, it's like there are some older games where no, it's not games, it's like older movies. You can always tell the object that's going to move in each scene because it's animated or drawn differently. You can tell it's like a separate layer. So like over top of a painted background. So I could tell that with the trains when I was first doing the train puzzle. I'm like, oh, you interact with these and these will move. But when you don't even have those and you're just trying to figure out like, where's the exit? Because this is all like, it looks like a painted background. I'm like, where's the actual exit? I don't know where to run.
Yeah.
I don't know what I can interact with. Like, so that was kind of hard to figure out at first. I was like, I literally don't know what to interact with. It was weird.
Yeah, that is kind of weird because it's and that's kind of where this game is where I developed my RPG habit of running around and mashing the interact button.
Okay.
Because there are so many like random things that you're not sure if you can interact with them or not.
Yeah. So that's why. Yeah, I was trying to like hit A for a while, but I'm like I can't find any hidden item or anything right now, so I'm just kind of like whatever.
Yeah.
Somebody asked the best way to play the original. PSX emulation, Steam, PS3, PS4, PC. Oh, that's Steam.
Personally, I mean, emulation is fine, but not that I would really endorse it. If you can support the original creators, please do. But PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4 remakes are all perfect ports. They're 100% the original.
The PS4 one, actually, no, there is a difference. The PS4 one is essentially the same as the PC one. It also includes, it includes a couple of things that the original game doesn't have, including a wait mode. You can put it in wait mode, and you can also...
The original had wait.
It did? Mm-hmm. Oh, a ton of people said it didn't.
No, it totally does. They use it in speedruns, I think.
Oh, well, that's...
Yeah, they definitely do.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm trying to play the game without it.
Really?
Yeah.
I always play without, personally.
Okay.
You don't need wait mode.
I think I did wait mode in Setsuna, because, like, this kind of wait, or this active battle system is still a bit newer to me, since I didn't grow up with these games.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who you're talking about, Farbang.
CM Stud, thanks for the resub, man.
Yeah,
let's put some love in there for CM Stud.
Yeah. Help finger.
That is true. The Steam version is moddable, which is nice. If you ever want like a fun thing to do, for another playthrough, is you can mod the graphics. You can mod. It's actually mostly graphical upgrades that they do. And Darkwing02 with the 3-year sub. Thanks so much, dude.
Wow.
Put some love in the chat, please. 3 years. That's a long time.
That's
36
a long
months.
time. That's longer than I've been streaming.
I was one of the old school like first sub button guys,
That's
and
crazy.
Darkwing02 was one of the original subs. So give it up, boys and girls. Thanks so much, Darkwing.
Oh, the 3 times speed, no random encounters, and God mode. I don't even know about that.
Yeah, the re-release included a bunch of hacks for people that want to just like play for the story and don't really care about the challenge of the game.
Yeah, there's the 3 times speed. If you click the left, not D-pad. If you click the left joystick on the PS4, it'll initiate like 3 times speed. And I'm like, no, it's too fast. Oh my God, please.
Yeah, it is way too fast. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. I think that's
I hate all the hacks they added, but I understand the purpose for them. I think that's really not too bad. Yo, another 3-year sub today. Seeker of Serenity. Holy crap.
That's cool.
Yo, thanks for all those super long subs, guys.
That's really cool.
Thanks so much.
Wow, man.
Love you guys. Apparently it's the 3-year day. Thanks, dudes.
Yes, let's go.
Funny enough, these aren't even my longest subs. I think there's 2 people that are a little bit longer than these guys.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's
I think
awesome.
so. It's crazy. Thank you guys so much for supporting the cast for that long. So anyway, to kind of wrap it up, we've actually been talking. I can't believe we've been talking about this game for like 2.5 hours.
And I'm like at the beginning of the game. So.
Exactly. There's already so much to talk about, and I think we've done pretty good about avoiding spoilers. I think.
Question: if you get to a part in the game where you could miss secrets, could we hint at you if and only if it's completely missable, and you might not be able to get it again? You're gonna hate me for saying this, but no, you can't. Because it's my first time through, and I'm just gonna have to miss it. It's like not being able to be picked as Miss Cloud the first time. I didn't know it was a thing. I didn't know how to do it, and it's just gonna be my first playthrough, making all the mistakes, missing some of the cool stuff. I do plan on replaying this game at some point so that I can do all the cool stuff. So this first playthrough, I'm gonna figure out as much as I possibly can on my own, and you're just gonna have to unfortunately suffer through it.
Fufu you don't have to worry about. Fufu actually replays games.
Yeah, I do. I actually love replaying games. Like every year, I have a bunch of series I'll replay. I love replaying Zelda games,
exactly. All the
Kingdom
stuff she
Hearts.
misses, you can get on the next time around.
Yeah, exactly. So you just have to kind of... I'm gonna miss all the optional characters, probably. I might. That's kind of a spoiler, Andy, but that's cool because somebody else said something about optional characters earlier. That's the spoiler. Oh, I should have not looked at chat. That's the spoiler, dude. It's cool. Somebody else spoiled about Yuffie as well, but I didn't want to say that I saw it.
Yeah.
Any character I haven't met, please don't mention. Don't mention anymore. Yes, I don't want to know.
All right, I won't say anymore.
It's okay.
I won't say anymore.
So yeah, you're just gonna have to has missable lore. It's going to
Sure. Yeah, it does.
it's going to be hard for you guys, I'm sure, to see me miss stuff that you may consider important or really entertaining, but that's just how it works.
You can just hold it till the end of the playthrough and then be like, because you're gonna have if you miss a lot of the missable lore, you're gonna obviously have some questions about the story.
Right. So at the end of the playthrough, we can sit and talk about it, and you guys can be like, "Here's some things you missed. Next time you play through, try it again."
Not to mention this show. Whatever you miss, I can fill in whatever you miss.
Exactly. So once I'm done with the game, which may be by the next time we have an episode. We'll come back and we'll talk about we're going to talk about all of it.
I'm gonna go ahead and guess that you're probably gonna be towards the end of the game for our next episode. If we do it exactly 2 weeks from now, if we stick to the regular planned schedule, then I think you're gonna be towards the end of the game.
I think so too.
Unless this is like all you play. If this is like all you play, you could be done by then.
I still speedrun, so I'll have some stuff mixed in. But
probably towards the end of the game then.
Yeah, I think so too.
But so, can I ask, if you have one, who is your favorite character so far?
Me?
Out of everyone. Yes.
I don't know enough about a couple of them to really be able to say. I mean, I don't know why, but I got attached to Tifa pretty quickly.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of people do.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people.
So I got attached to her. Cloud's fine.
Cloud's fine. I personally think you're not supposed to like love Cloud. Yeah. Definitely not at first.
I think I might. I'm kind of wondering if I'm gonna like Red more. I think I might like Red more as a character as he develops.
Love Red.
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna end up really liking him, and I like Tifa. It's not like and again, I don't dislike any of the characters, so don't worry. It's like even if I like Tifa more than Aerith, it doesn't mean I dislike Aerith. I think she has some good redeemable qualities.
No, I like Aerith a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. And
you think so, Heraclea?
And I also think Sephiroth is already a really interesting character. It's not that I love anything that he does. Yes. It's just that I think he's really interesting.
I think that you'll be able to see why he's regarded as he was like the villain that all the little guys, all the little boys and girls that played this game thought was so cool. And I just don't think that they've ever managed to get like nobody does the villain like Sephiroth.
Yeah.
Nobody does him the same way.
Yeah.
Nobody can characterize a villain like this game.
What about like Bowser? Just kidding. He's one of the most cartoony bad guys. It's amazing.
To be fair, he's supposed to. Shigeru Miyamoto says he looks at Mario, Peach, and Bowser the same way you should look at like Popeye, Olive Oil, and
I love it. I love it. I think it's so great.
It's so good.
And that's part of what allows those games to be sassy, and it makes me really happy because I love stuff that's sassy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You don't always have to do like super crazy in-depth characterization. There's definitely ways to do it to a lesser extent and keep it. But 7 decides to do it really hardcore and really in-depth, and they pull it off.
Yeah, I'm so excited for you to play Paper Mario, and then we can talk about it from my side of things. So excited. Right? So excited.
If you're like me, you're going to be on like Cloud 9. I've been loving this whole time we've been talking. Like I said, I never get to talk to people who are new to my game.
Yeah, I know. I'm so excited.
It's going to be the same for you at Paper Mario.
Yeah.
Doing good, Restartist. So are you ready to get started on it for the day?
You guys ready? We're gonna play this game now that we've been talking about for an hour and a half.
All right, boys and girls, let's go to wrap it up then. I think, are you ready to sign off?
Yeah, I think so, man. Okay, cool. We are at a good point. Some information is out there. We've got some opinions. I mean, you already know everything, but yeah, we'll reconvene, guys, in about 2 weeks, and we'll have a lot more to talk about.
Yep. You're pretty well into the story so far, and the best part for you is that pretty soon things get to open up and you get to start exploring a little bit more.
I'm really glad I actually. Oh yeah, keep going.
Up until that point, it's a pretty linear story, pretty linear progression.
Yeah, exactly.
You finally get to open it up a little bit.
Exactly. So I'm really excited to explore that, but I'm really glad I got to the flashback last night because that provided a lot of information that we just talked about today.
When I went in and checked up on you, I was like, I'm so glad she's right here because that is such a perfect like story dump.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
cool.
Kung Fu, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thank you, Blacklight. So we'll talk in 2 weeks, you guys. We'll be back for another episode. It's going to be fun. We get to hash out a lot more. And then you guys can be like, Fufu, you're dumb and you missed all this stuff.
We'll be sure to berate you later.
Okay.
But for now, enjoy the game. Enjoy your playthrough.
Man. Are you excited?
I will. Trust me. I already know I'm going to. Okay. You know I am.
I know.
All right, bye, Fufu. Bye, Fufu's
chat.
Bye.
See you later.
Thanks for joining us.
All right, man. Let's switch over, guys.
Bye.
Bye.